Pokémon Super Fruit System. Chapter 1. Luo Yi, a super-rich second generation from Earth, inexplicably transmigrated to the world of Pokémon when he woke up. He also became the son of Zifuki, the founder of the Devon Group, and the younger brother of Daigo of the Champions League. In the early morning, in the city of Karnas, a super-luxurious mansion. The world of Pokémon? What about the system? Why not give me the most powerful Pokémon? At least it should be Mewtwo. Luo Yi looked at the various news on the computer. The room Luo Yi was in now was exactly the bedroom of Zivaka's youngest son. Just now, his memory came back and he realized that he had entered the world of Pokémon. Since he was here, he might as well make the best of it. Luo Yi was quite satisfied with this identity. His cheap dad was the founder of the Duan Group, his brother was the league champion, and the resources he could use were countless. In the memory of this body, he had been riding Pokémon to play since he was a child. Luo Yi, it's time to go to school. Today is the first day of school. Don't be late. Luo Yi's beautiful mother's voice came from outside the house, urging Luo Yi to get up quickly. After packing up, Luo Yi came to the school, which was just an ordinary Pokémon middle school. As for why he didn't go to an aristocratic school, Luo Yi guessed that this cheap father probably didn't want him to come into contact with two high-quality Pokémon. After all, the eldest son Daigo has become the league champion and embarked on the path of a trainer. It would be better for the younger son to inherit the family business. At this time, a group of chattering teenagers in the classroom were discussing the selection of Pokémons for the high school graduation group, and Luo Yi sat there with a wooden face. In this world full of Pokémons, only after graduating from high school can you be qualified to obtain your own Pokémons. Only in this way can you minimize the backlash of the Pokémons on their masters. Of course, there are exceptions. As long as you get the teacher's approval, you can also catch Pokémons in advance and graduate directly. Ding! The system is successfully bound, and the host has received a novice gift pack, Pokémon Pikachu. Suddenly, a mechanical female voice sounded in his mind. At the same time, Luo Yi felt his pocket sink, as if something had fallen into it. Hearing the system's voice, Luo Yi raised his eyebrows. The system that he had been waiting for all morning finally showed up. The newbie gift package only gives a Pikachu? Where is the mythical beast? Luo Yi was a little disappointed for a moment. The host can catch the beasts by himself, but the system can exchange them for devil fruits. Hearing Luo Yi's complaints, the system said. Blow, if you can't give the beast directly, just admit your failure. Luo Yi rolled his eyes and touched his pocket. It was round. It was a Pokémon ball. It was the system's novice gift. There was a Pikachu hidden in it. Pikachu, a great tool for picking up girls, still acceptable. Luo Yi no longer paid attention to this cliched system, and touched the Pokémon ball in his pocket, wondering where to open it and take a good look at his first Pokémon. But at this time, a little fat boy next to him suddenly said loudly, "Look, they are going to choose their own Pokémon." Immediately, the little kids in the classroom rushed to the window and looked outside. From the window, one could see that some graduates began to walk out of the senior building, and they were going to catch their own Pokémon under the organization of the school. They all had excited expressions on their faces. They had been in school for so many years and learned so much relevant knowledge, wasn't it for this moment? As luck would have it, Luo Yi's seat was next to a window, and this group of ignorant elementary school students squeezed Luo Yi so hard that he almost couldn't breathe. Why are you pushing so hard? You stepped on my feet. It's just catching Pokémons, you guys have never seen the world. What's so good about this? Luo Yi's words immediately aroused the dissatisfaction of a group of children around him. You know, not everyone is as rich as Luo's family, and they don't usually see Pokémons. Luo Yi, have you ever seen an Pokémon? A little girl asked. How could he have seen it? He is just pretending to be awesome. Another little fat man said disdainfully. The little fat man's words certainly aroused Luo Yi's dissatisfaction. Luo Yi was not a pushover. His toes were still hurting, so he directly sprayed back. Get the hell away, stop talking nonsense in front of me, you don't even know what you are doing when I'm riding a Pokémon. Luo Yi was not exaggerating. As the younger brother of the league champion Daigo and the second young master of Duan Group, he has indeed ridden various Pokémons since he was a child. However, when he said this, no one in the elementary school class believed him. In the world of elementary school students, Pokémon are the most precious things. How could they be written by others? Pretend. The little fat man said loudly. At this moment, everyone looked at Luo Yi with disbelief in their eyes. They all thought he was pretending, because what Luo Yi said was really hard for them to accept. What if what I said is true? Luo Yi looked at the little fat man and said coldly. If you are telling the truth, I will kneel down and call you grandpa. The little fat man was not scared, but became even more arrogant. If you can't prove that what you said is true, you have to kneel down and call me grandpa. In front of the whole school, don't you dare. The little fat boy was arrogant and confident. All right, I'll ride a Pokémon over here right now. Luo stood up and pointed at the fat idiot's nose and said, in an hour, you can wait to call me grandpa. Don't be scared and cry later. Chapter 2. Luo stood up and pointed at the fat idiot's nose and said, in an hour, you can wait to call me grandpa. Don't be scared and cry later. After saying that, Luo Yi pushed away the people nearby and walked out of the classroom. In the classroom behind him, the little fat boy was leading the way and laughing at Luo Yi, waiting to see his joke. Do you think he will dare to come to the classroom later? The little fat boy said loudly. Ha 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 ha, Fatty is awesome. Someone responded. No matter how awesome he is, he can't turn into a Pokémon. I'm sure to win. The little fat man's voice was full of confidence, and he was so proud of himself. Listening to the voice behind him, Luo Yi sneered and walked directly to the playground. At this time, many graduates had gathered on the playground and were eagerly discussing. I don't know what kind of Pokémon I can meet, I hope to get a cute and adorable one, said a female student with long hair. Luo Yi took a look at this girl and almost vomited. He thought to himself, if you want a cute Pokémon, the cute Pokémon must be willing to follow you. It's possible. This time we are going to the woods behind the Babo Research Institute. I remember that there was a little Pokémon you liked when we visited the Babo Research Institute. I wonder if we can meet it. Someone responded to the long-haired female voice, also very excited. Oh, I can't wait. Listening to the excited chatter of the teenagers around him, Luo Yi was also quickly browsing the memory of this body. Soon, Luo Yi knew that there were many unexpected situations in this world that were not seen in the Chinese Pokémon animation before. The good thing of getting a Pokémon directly when you reach a certain grade, like in the original work, would never happen. After graduation, you have the qualifications to collect Pokémon, but you must make your own efforts to get the Pokémon's recognition before you can succeed. Moreover, the Pokémon that can be collected by graduates are all garbage. The real rare Pokémon are all controlled by super families, or locked up in research institutes for research, and it is impossible to really give students a chance. Luo Yi was a super rich second generation in his previous life, and he was used to this kind of pie transaction. In this life, he is the second son of the super powerful Duan group. Of course, he also knows all the things in it. It's a pity that these naive students in front of him are still looking forward to it. Wake up, what you are about to get is all garbage. The truth was basically the same as what Luo Yi thought. The initial Pokémon that the teenagers in Kana's city school could obtain were all provided by Dr. Bai Bo's Bai Bo Research Institute. They were all common stuff. Some of these Pokémon were specially captured by the Research Institute, some were provided to the doctor for research, or some were Pokémon that were abandoned by trainers after being stored. In short, all of them were relatively docile and very ordinary Pokémon. Then there is nothing to go, so I might as well go home and secretly ride one out. Luo Yi shook his head and rejected the idea of following them to catch Pokémons. Luo Yi didn't want trash Pokémons. Ding! Congratulations to the host, an unowned rare Pokémon has been found nearby. Catch it to get a devil fruit. Ah! White Glass Research Institute. Today is the day for the students of the Pokémon school to choose their initial Pokémon. A young man in a white research suit said as he sorted out the shelves filled with Pokeballs. Yes, every year at this time, we are always busy for a while. Another young man looked at the list of Pokémons in his hand and said helplessly. It is a bit hard. You have to collect rare and precious Pokémon and release all the Pokémon that meet the requirements for them to choose. It is a bit troublesome. By the way, as long as the Pokémons agree with them, they can go with them. Yes, so we have to be careful and not miss any. If we let the rare Pokémons out, they will find them. Okay, got it. I'll pay attention. While they were talking, in this room full of wooden racks filled with Pokeballs, a figure appeared in the shadows of their blind spot. Hey! The figure took advantage of the two people's inattention and swiftly rushed towards the open door, bringing a breeze with its extremely fast speed. The young man who was checking the list seemed to have sensed something and turned his head to look at the exit, but he didn't see anything unusual in his field of vision. What's wrong? Another young man noticed his abnormality and immediately looked towards the exit and asked. It's okay, maybe it was the wind outside that blew in just now. The young man said uncertainly, then put aside his distracting thoughts and focused his attention on the Pokémon list in his hand. Just as Luo Yi was about to go home and write out a little Pokémon, the voice of the system that had no sense of existence suddenly rang in his head. Ding! An unowned rare Pokémon has been detected nearby. Rare Pokémon? Luo Yi was stunned and asked. That's right, it's an ownerless rare Pokémon, in the woods behind Beibo's laboratory. The system said. Host, if you capture it successfully, you will get a devil fruit as a reward. Devil fruit. Chapter 3. Devil fruit. Of course Luo Yi knew what a devil fruit was. It was a super treasure from another comic in the Chinese world. Each devil fruit had an extremely magical ability. Some could give people the ability to control lightning, some could make people's bodies become like rubber, and some could turn people into animals with super strength. Taking a devil fruit would give people superpowers, which was the consensus of everyone. Of course, the devil fruit also had disadvantages, that is, people who ate the devil fruit would become landlubbers and would never be able to swim again. But Luo Yi was on land. This was a perfect way to avoid the disadvantages of the devil fruit. This system was awesome. Needless to say, Luo Yi was determined to get this devil fruit. What? More, there was a rare Pokémon that he absolutely could not let go. System? Where is that rare ownerless Pokémon? Luo Yi asked. He didn't plan to waste time. He had a Pikachu in his pocket that he had never seen before. Who knows what it looks like? It would be better to quickly capture that rare Pokémon, get the devil fruit, and have a good deal of discussion. Hearing Luo Yi's voice, the system directly gave a map of a nearby area in the upper right corner of Luo Yi's vision. On the map, there were many bright spots in a forest, all of which were Pokémons. However, the brightness of these bright spots varied. One of them was very dazzling, and compared with the others, it was as bright as a bright moon. The Pokémon forest with dense bright spots on the map was prepared for graduates. Unexpectedly, a rare Pokémon appeared there. It must be the negligence of the Beibo Research Institute. It was just unknown what this rare Pokémon was. That's him. I didn't expect that a rare Pokémon would sneak in this year. What are the people in the Beibo Research Institute doing? Soon, Luo Yi mixed in with a group of graduates and came to the Beibo Research Institute. After listening to the many precautions announced by the teacher and the institute, many eager students immediately rushed into the Pokémon forest behind the Beibo Research Institute. They have been waiting for this moment for many years. In other words, their big dicks, no, their Pokeballs have been thirsty for a long time. Luo Yi also walked towards the Jinglin forest. At this time, someone from the Beibo Research Institute finally discovered Luo Yi, this little brat. Wait, little friend, you can't go over there. A beautiful female researcher stopped Luo Yi and gently stopped him. It's very dangerous inside, you are still young, you can go in when you grow up. The beautiful female researcher patted Luo Yi's head and said with a smile. Unless you have a written certificate from your teacher to prove that you really have the corresponding knowledge and ability, I will not let you in. The female researcher certainly meant well to Luo Yi. After all, even the most docile Pokémons are quite dangerous to underage children and they are likely to get hurt. On days like this, except for graduates, anyone who wants to enter the Pokémon forest to capture Pokémons must have a certificate from a teacher. Luo Yi frowned. At this time, all the students had entered the Pokémon forest, but he was stopped outside. Rare Pokémon and devil fruits were right in front of him, but he couldn't get in? Looking at the determined eyes and righteous expression of the female researcher, Luo Yi knew that he could not persuade her to let him in. System, is there any solution? The host gains the ability to use a hunting swallowtail butterfly paralysis powder, which can temporarily paralyze the target and make it lose its ability to move. It will become ineffective after use. Hurry up, or the rare Pokémon will run away. Hearing the voice of the system, Luo rolled his eyes. This inexplicable system seemed to be more anxious than himself. Paralysis powder. While the female researcher was not paying attention, Luo Yi jumped up and raised his little hand, and immediately sprinkled a handful of powder on the researcher's body. The beautiful female researcher immediately stood there unable to move, and could only look at the little brat in front of her in horror, as if she was frightened. "It's okay, sister. I'm just going in to take a look. I'll come out alive." Luo Yi comforted her. Then, Luo Yi raised his hand and slapped the female researcher's tight buttocks twice. The sound was so crisp. "By the way, sister researcher, I am not small." After saying that, Luo Yi ran towards the Pokémon forest, leaving the researcher with a blushing face and unable to move. After entering the Pokémon forest, Luo Yi looked for the rare Pokémon on the map provided by the system, but after a few minutes, he did not find any trace of the rare Pokémon. When Luo Yi was about to ask the system, he caught a glimpse of a swift black shadow flashing past Luo Yi's left. It appeared. "It's a rare Pokémon." Luo Yi realized that with such a speed, it could only be that rare Pokémon, and hurriedly ran in the direction where the shadow disappeared. "Help!" After running 2 steps, Luo Yi heard a panicked voice coming from not far ahead. It was a girl. Chapter 4. Help! Help! Hearing the cry for help from the front, Luo Yi quickened his pace. It was not that Luo Yi wanted to save people, but he was afraid that the cry for help would attract other people and snatch his rare Pokémon. This is a rare Pokémon, not comparable to the electric mice like Pikachu that are everywhere on the street. Finally, Luo Yi rushed into a relatively open place and stopped, with an incredible expression on his face. A humanoid Pokémon. The Pokémon seemed to know that Luo Yi would come, and faced Luo Yi directly. Not far in front of this Pokémon, there was a girl lying there, motionless. What? This Pokémon? Lucario. Luo Yi's eyes widened, looking at the Pokémon, extremely excited. As for the girl lying on the ground, Luo Yi didn't pay any attention to her. What really caught Luo Yi's eyes and made his blood boil was the humanoid Pokémon. No wonder Luo Yi was so excited. Not far from him, there stood a majestic humanoid Pokémon. Its fur was mostly blue and black, with short thorns on its front paws and chest. It stood with its head held high, revealing its pride. It was the super rare Pokémon Lucario, so handsome. You humans do use this word to refer to us. Looking at Lucario, Luo Yi suddenly heard a calm voice in his mind. Is this Lucario's telepathy? Are you also a Pokémon released by the Research Institute? No, that stingy place would not be willing to give away a rare Pokémon like Lucario. Luo Yi was surprised, and then asked with some doubt. Did he make a wrong judgment? Did he misunderstand the White Glass Research Institute? Would the Institute also release rare Pokémon? I know today is the day for you new Pokémon trainers to select your starting Pokémons, and I escaped on my own. Lucario replied using telepathy. Escaped on his own? Hearing what Lucario said, Luo Yi was stunned. Is that so? Then a thought suddenly popped up in Luo Yi's mind, and his heart suddenly became hot. Could it be that Lucario couldn't stand the boring and monotonous days in the Research Institute and wanted to follow the new trainer to go out for adventure? Isn't this just a good deal for me? You know about the White Glass Research Institute, do you want to leave the institute and follow the Pokémon trainer? Luo Yi looked at Lucario in front of him with a burning gaze, and felt his blood rushing up because of excitement. Yes, I choose you, are you willing to accept me? The handsome Lucario's eyes were burning, and he controlled the wave guide to convey his thoughts to Luo Yi. Are you kidding? Lucario. Hey, you are a natural handsome warrior, okay? How could I not be willing to accept it? Wow! It's easy to get it. I'm really a child of destiny, with supreme luck. Even rare Pokémon like Lucario voluntarily surrendered to me. Ah ha 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 ha. Luo Yi laughed wildly, looking completely arrogant like a dandy boy. The reason I chose you is because your wave guide is very strong. Lucario's deep eyes seemed to be burning with flames, staring at Luo Yi, and took the initiative to explain. Wave guide? It's mental power, right? Could it be that because I'm a transmigrator and have a very strong mental power, Lucario sensed it? After hearing Lucario's call, Luo Yi thought to himself. Don't think too much, Lucario. You are my Pokémon. Luo Yi clenched his fists excitedly. Now he not only got a super powerful rare Pokémon, but also completed the system's task. The devil fruit will be in his hands soon. I am willing to follow you and fight for you. Lucario's eyes were sincere, revealing his deep respect for Luo Yi. Luo Yi, who was communicating with the system in ecstasy, did not notice the joy and high fighting spirit of Lucario from the bottom of his heart. The extremely arrogant Lucario in front of him was born to pursue strength. Luo Yi didn't know that the Lucario he got offended the elders of the tribe because of his arrogance and was exiled by the tribe under the alliance. But, so what? The tribe elders feared it because they were jealous and afraid of their powerful strength. It was even more despicable to frame it with a false charge. When it was decided to be exiled by the tribe, it directly challenged the 3 elders who thought it should be exiled. Old, knocked down 3 powerful elders, and then left in style. Later, because he was chased by the subsequent tribesmen, he was seriously injured and fainted. He was rescued by a passing Pokémon trainer. Although Lucario was grateful to him, it did not recognize him. Because that person's waveguide was too weak. Lucario will only recognize humans who are stronger than himself. The reason why he was in the Babo laboratory was just to repay that person's kindness, so he agreed to that person's request to come here for these researchers to study waveguides. However, now, Lucario has met Luo Yi, and finally found the powerful Pokémon trainer he longed for. Lucario looked at Luo Yi with an extremely burning gaze. I swear, I will do my best to help you reach the highest peak. Become the king of mankind. Once the arrogant Lucario recognizes a partner from the bottom of his heart, he will never change his mind until he dies. And I will be the bravest warrior following the king of mankind. Chapter 5. After taming Lucario, Luo Yi heard the system prompt in his head. Ding! The rare Pokémons have been captured, and the host has obtained a devil fruit. At the same time, Luo Yi's pocket sank, as if something had fallen into it. Luo Yi immediately took it out of his pocket. It was a fruit with a spiral pattern, purple all over, very strange. Devil fruit. Ability, unknown. System, what kind of fruit is this? Luo Yi asked impatiently. System. Silence. Damn. System, come out quickly, what kind of fruit is this? Still. Silent. Looking at the system's performance, Luo Yi suddenly had an ominous premonition. Lucario, come here and try to use your wave power to explore this fruit and see if you can find anything. The system was silent, and Luo Yi immediately decided to try Lucario's wave power. Maybe there will be a wonderful change between these two things. Hearing Luo Yi's call, Lucario came to Luo Yi, his eyes focused. When it came to the strange fruit in Luo Yi's hand, the wave power wrapped the whole devil fruit, trying to explore the mystery inside. 2 minutes later, even a powerful Lucario was sweating all over, with a strenuous expression on his face, and he retracted all the wave power. How is it, did you find anything? Luo Yi asked. This fruit contains a very cold power that makes people feel very uncomfortable. Through the power of waveguide, Lucario transmitted his detection results to Luo Yi's mind. Cold power? What is this? Luo Yi was a little confused, and the comics of One Piece that he had read in his previous life kept flashing through his mind, thinking about all the possibilities. It's not an animal type, is it a superhuman type? Or a natural type devil fruit? Suddenly, Luo Yi was stunned, and the flesh on his face twitched, as if he thought of something. The cold power. This can't be the Imizu fruit, the fruit of Luffy's crew member, the skeleton man Brook. Law frowned. If it is really the Imizu fruit, it is equivalent to being useless and can't be used at all. It's a waste of the opportunity to use a devil fruit. Where is the system? Get out here. However, the system played dead and did not respond at all. If you don't come out now, you will never have to come out again. Tell me, what kind of fruit is this? When Luo Yi thought that he might have the yellow spring fruit in his hand, he became annoyed. This fruit would only work after a person died, and it could keep a person alive in the form of a skeleton. What the hell is the use of this? How could Luo Yi die? Luo Yi's voice was filled with anger, he was not joking, and finally called out the system. This is the yellow spring fruit. I like the host's wit. The system's voice was still the same mechanical female voice, but one could vaguely hear a hint of embarrassment in it. You still have the nerve to like the yellow spring fruit? I don't want this one. Luo was furious. This was simply pitfall for him. Now he had no good feelings towards this so-called system. If the host wants to change the fruit, I'm afraid it won't be possible. If you don't change, you'll never show up again. Luo Yi sneered. He had already grasped the weakness of the system. Okay, what fruit does the host want? But I have to remind the host that as a traverser, you have already integrated the elements of 2 worlds, and your body has reached its limit. If you take the devil fruit and add the elements of the 3rd world, your body will not be able to bear it, and you will explode. Luo Yi was speechless, his plan still failed. Luo Yi thought about it and knew that what the system said was true. At this moment, he could feel that his body was in a state of adaptation and had not yet completely integrated with his current body. If he ate the devil fruit, there would be a high probability of problems. Luo Yi had no choice but to focus on Lucario. Lucario, do you want to gain any magical abilities? Luo Yi asked. After all, it was his first super fighter. Lucario ate the devil fruit, and Luo Yi was not sad. Master, Lucario never relies on external forces. Lucario will constantly hone himself until he becomes the most powerful Pokémon. Through the power of Wave Guide, Lucario conveyed his thoughts to Luo Yi. Luo Yi sighed. He knew that Lucario had his own pride. This was a disguised rejection of himself and he would not eat any devil fruit. Now Luo Yi was in trouble. He couldn't eat this devil fruit, and Lucario didn't eat it either. He couldn't determine the object. How could Luo Yi choose the right fruit? While Luo Yi was thinking, Lucario, who was standing in front of Luo Yi, stretched out his hand and pointed at Luo Yi's pocket. Luo Yi was stunned, and then he suddenly realized. I still have a Pikachu. Luo Yi slapped his forehead. So many things happened this morning. He collected Lucario, argued with the system, and got the devil fruit. Luo Yi had long forgotten that he had a Pikachu given by the system. He took out the Pokeball from his pocket and threw it on the ground. A yellow Pikachu appeared in front of Luo Yi, looking the same as in the animation, even cuter. Pikachu, Pika, Pika. The cute Pikachu hugged Luo Yi's legs as soon as he came out, rubbing his face against Luo Yi excitedly, showing great intimacy to Luo Yi. This electric mouse is really a great tool for picking up girls, it's really cute. After being teased by Pikachu, Luo Yi also fell in love with this cute guy, and even the arrogant Lucario next to him looked at Pikachu with a look of favor in his eyes. Business is important. Lucario, keep an eye on this guy. Grabbing Pikachu and throwing it to Lucario, Luo Yi started communicating with the system. System, I have decided, I want one. Thunder Fruit. Chapter 6. System, I have made up my mind. I want a Thunder Fruit. As soon as Luo Yi finished speaking, the yellow spring fruit in his hand disappeared, and at the same time, the system's voice came into his head. The devil fruit exchange is complete. The system consumes too much energy. All functions are temporarily suspended and will be restored in 12 hours. I can't take care of these, because at the same time, Luo Yi's pocket sank, and the thunder fruit was successfully obtained. Taking the thunder fruit in his hand, Luo Yi found that this fruit was not much different from the previous one, with the same spiral pattern, but the fruit was smaller this time. As soon as the thunder fruit was taken out, the attention of Lucario and Pikachu was immediately attracted. Lucario was fine, he glanced at the fruit lightly and didn't react. Pikachu, on the other hand, stared at the thunder fruit with his eyes, as if he had sensed something, with a trace of desire on his face. Lucario, use your wave power to explore this fruit again. Luo Yi said. Although the possibility of the system deceiving him was relatively small, Luo Yi still wanted to confirm it. After all, no one could tell what would happen if the Pokémon ate the devil fruit. Luo Yi wanted to eliminate all uncertainties as much as possible and thoroughly check the thunder fruit. Lucario obediently used the wave power to wrap the devil fruit in Luo Yi's hand again. After a while, Lucario used the wave power to say to Luo Yi. This fruit has a terrible power, like thunder in the sky. Good. That's what I want. Luo Yi nodded and confirmed that the fruit in his hand was indeed the thunder fruit. At this time, Luo Yi had a strange feeling about his system. It seemed that it was not a completely mechanized product, but more like a thing with emotions. Forget it. Luo Yi shook his head and shook off all his thoughts. Now is not the time to think about these things. You want to figure everything out on the first day of crossing, right? Take your time. Anyway, the system has no ill intentions. The most important thing now is to let Pikachu eat the devil fruit as soon as possible. If it succeeds without side effects, then Luo Yi will be rich. How many kinds of Pokémon are there in the Pokémon world? How many kinds of devil fruits are there in the world of One Piece? Luo Yi believes that if he gives himself some time, he will lead a super Pokémon army to sweep the entire Pokémon world. Pikachu, come here. Luo Yi waved his hand, and Pikachu immediately jumped off Lucario and came to Luo Yi. Luo Yi rubbed Pikachu's head and prepared to see the strength of his Pikachu. See that fruit? Use your static electricity to knock it down. Luo Yi pinched Pikachu's cheek and pointed at a big tree. For Pikachu, this request was not excessive, because ordinary Pikachu would use this method to knock down the fruit hanging high on the tree and eat it. Pikachu obediently began to accumulate power. A few hair-like lightnings burst out from the two red spots on its little face. Its expression became very serious and its eyes were closed. Pikachu shouted, and its tail pointed directly at the tree that Luo Yi mentioned. With a muffled sound, a puff of black smoke came out of Pikachu's tail, but no lightning was seen. It actually failed? Pick up, Pikachu! Scratched his head and showed an embarrassed expression to Luo Yi. Luo Yi on the side stared at it in amazement, speechless, not knowing what to say. At this moment, in Luo Yi's heart, as if he was repeatedly beeped by the lightning dog, he wanted to say 1,000 dirty words to the system. This is the novice Pokémon you gave me. What's the difference between it and a piece of trash? If I rely on him to make my way in the world, I will die quickly. Fortunately, I still have Lucario. Luo Yi glanced at the Lucario next to him and found that he was also a little stunned. He probably had never seen such a rubbish electric mouse. Just when Luo Yi was cursing at the system in his heart, Lucario suddenly took 2 steps forward and began to use the power of waveguide to carefully explore the situation of Pikachu. After a while, Luo Yi heard the voice transmission of Lucario using the power of waveguide. Master, this little Pokémon has an injury inside. His waveguide is very chaotic, and his mind is in an unconscious state, just like a toddler, but from some signs of his body, it seems that he was once extremely powerful. After hearing Lucario's voice transmission, Luo Yi was stunned. If it was really as Lucario had investigated, his Pikachu was once a powerful figure, but he didn't know why he was seriously injured and lost his memory. So, it was once an extremely powerful Pokémon. Luo Yi picked up Pikachu and began to observe carefully. Yes, Master, all signs indicate that this Pikachu was once extremely powerful, and it may even have the power to compete with legendary beasts. Lucario said. But now, his body is empty and his injuries are still serious. He is not in a clear mind. Luo Yi understood, and he also found a long scar on Pikachu's body, hidden under its fur. He could feel it with his hands, but he couldn't see it. Still a Pikachu with a story. Pikachu. Being held in Luo Yi's arms, Pikachu showed an innocent expression, carefree. From today on, you will have a brand new life. Luo Yi said. Devil Fruit Ability Pokémon, Thunder Pikachu. Chapter 7. From today on, you will become a Devil Fruit Spirit, Thunder Pikachu. After saying that, Luo Yi stuffed the Thunder Fruit into Pikachu's hand and signaled it to eat it. Pikachu. Looking at the Devil Fruit in his hand, Pikachu's eyes lit up. He had noticed this strange fruit just now and felt an original attraction from it. This has nothing to do with intelligence, it is a completely instinctive attraction. It can be said that the Thunder Fruit has a fatal temptation to any Pokémon with Thunder attributes. Ouch! After swallowing the Devil Fruit in one mouthful, Pikachu almost vomited, and his expression was very bad, because the Devil Fruit was too unpalatable. However, after eating it, Pikachu did not feel anything unusual. The little thing looked left and right, a little confused. Devil fruits are like this. After eating, you will gain the ability of the Devil Fruit in an instant, but there will be no abnormalities. People who don't understand the situation may not be able to find it for a while. As for the development of the fruit ability, it depends on the individual. Pikachu, who didn't know what happened, looked at Luo Yi eagerly, wanting to climb up Luo Yi's legs to him. Are you kidding me? Get out of the way first. Luo Yi didn't dare let him get close to him. The current Pikachu was the Pikachu that had eaten the Thunder Fruit. He might lose control and electrocute him to death. Pikachu, who was rejected by Luo Yi, looked aggrieved. At this time, not only Luo Yi did not dare to approach him, but Lucario on the side also looked at Pikachu seriously and took 2 steps back. He had personally explored the terrifying power of the thunder fruit. Who knows what will happen if you eat such a terrifying fruit? Lucario will definitely not approach him. Pikachu, see the fruit on the tree? Electrocute it. Luoyi pointed at the fruit on the tree again, wanting to see if Pikachu would change after eating the devil fruit. Pikachu. Hearing Luoyi's words, Pikachu clenched his fists, his expression changed, and he began to accumulate energy again. Boom! With a loud bang, the two electric bags on Pikachu's face burst into a torrential lightning in an instant, directly submerging and surrounding Pikachu. For a moment, Pikachu was full of lightning within half a meter. Even the ground where Pikachu was located was sunken into a large piece, and a large pit was melted under the power of lightning. Luoyi and Lucario next to him were frightened by this scene, and were almost knocked to the ground by the momentum. They quickly retreated and stayed away from Pikachu as much as possible. At the same time, Luoyi and Lucario looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. The electric mouse that had difficulty even farting just now is so awesome now. It really became a super mutant Pikachu. At this time, Luoyi's heart was better. He had known the effect of the devil fruit for a long time, but Lucario was different. Although he knew that there was a terrifying power in the fruit, he didn't expect it to be so exaggerated. And the effect was too good. It's like eating it and it will turn into a legendary beast in a second. In his cognition, Pikachu only has a little electricity in the electric bag on its face, and it only produces a little electricity when it is used. Even the evolved Raichu can't achieve such an effect. Who the hell has ever seen a Pikachu with lightning in a radius of half a meter when it charges? Is this still an electric mouse? You should just change your name to a legendary beast. Boom! Just when Luoyi and Lucario were shocked, the lightning around Pikachu converged into its body and concentrated on its tail. Suddenly, a huge lightning as thick as a person shot out from Pikachu's tail and hit the big tree that Luoyi designated. The whole tree was charred by the lightning. Although the target was the fruit, the tree had been completely baptized by lightning from top to bottom and turned into charcoal. Beside Luoyi, the arrogant Lucario trembled all over, and the look in his eyes when he looked at Pikachu completely changed. He completely regarded him as a Pokémon with the same strength as himself and began to treat Pikachu equally. On Luoyi's face, shock was followed by ecstasy. Success! Devil fruits can indeed work on Pokémon. My super mutant Pokémon, Thunder Pikachu, is born. At this time, Luoyi's head has begun to have endless fantasies, all kinds of brain holes are opening up, the flame fruit, the tremor fruit, the magma fruit, the rubber fruit, and Pikachu, who did all this, was confused and scared himself. Pick up! As if it had used up all its strength, Pikachu closed its eyes and fell into a deep sleep after releasing this attack. Lucario immediately went forward to check, held Pikachu in his arms, and was relieved to confirm that there was no problem. Master, Pikachu is fine. It seems to be adapting to the new power and is sleeping. Luo nodded. This is normal. At this time, Miyazi, who had just been knocked unconscious by Lucario's wave power, woke up. Oh, my head hurts. What's wrong with me? Chapter 8. Oh, my head hurts. What happened to me? Just after the exhausted Pikachu fell down, Miyazi, who had fainted due to Lucario's wave attack, woke up. Poor Miyazi, the first Pokémon she met after entering the Pokémon forest was Lucario. Of course, Lucario did not recognize Miyazi's wave power, and at the same time, he felt Luoyi's presence, so he hypnotized Miyazi and made her fall asleep. And until now, Luo had the energy to seriously look at this woman who had been lying there. Miyazi. It didn't matter that Luoyi saw it. He immediately recognized the girl. She was the girl who had pursued his brother, the league champion Daigo. The two were much older than each other, but the girl still showed her affection to Daigo. But for some reason, Daigo seemed to be a little disgusted with her, and it ended in nothing. However, Luoyi recognized the girl, but Miyazi didn't know Luoyi, and didn't even know that Daigo had a younger brother. Hearing Luoyi calling out her name, Miyazi subconsciously looked at Luoyi, but saw an extremely strange child. Do you know me, little brother? Miyazi asked. At this time, Miyazi's head was still dizzy and aching. This is the power of Lucario's wave attack. When facing powerful Pokémon, ordinary people are in a very weak position. This is why the consensus of people in this world is that you must graduate from high school before you can take action to capture Pokémon. There are also many people who are eager for quick success and want to catch Pokémon as soon as possible, but they are either seriously injured or later attacked by their own Pokémon. Anyway, they don't have a good ending. It is rare for a young boy like Luo Yi to run into the Pokémon forest and capture a Lucario. It can be said that there is no second one in the entire Kana city. After hearing Miyazi's words, Luo Yi didn't know how to explain it for a moment. He couldn't say that I am the younger brother of the person you failed to pursue. That scene was very embarrassing. You don't need to worry about this. Anyway, I saved you today. Luo Yi interrupted and changed the subject. At this time, Miyazi had become sober and remembered that she fainted because of Lucario. The next second, she saw Lucario's cold eyes again. Ah! This Lucario, why is it still here? Seeing Lucario, Miyazi's face changed drastically, and she hid directly behind Luo Yi. Seeing Miyazi hiding behind him in fear, Luo Yi frowned. You have to know that he is just a minor now, and Miyazi is the one who really came to the Pokémon forest to train. When encountering danger, he actually pushed someone younger than himself to the front. It really has no courage at all. Suddenly, Luo Yi's impression of Miyazi was greatly reduced, and his expression became a little indifferent. Don't be afraid, this Lucario attacked you before, but now I have conquered it. Luo Yi said calmly. Although he felt like he was being used as a shield, he didn't intend to argue with this woman. He still had some tolerance. How is it possible? You have captured the powerful and super rare Pokémon Lucario. After hearing what Luo Yi said, Miyazi's eyes suddenly changed when she looked at Luo Yi. She looked him up and down, full of suspicion. You have to know that this is Lucario, a super rare Pokémon, and it is extremely powerful. It is almost impossible for a graduate like Miyazi to capture it. Only a Pokémon master can have a chance. What's more, the little guy in front of him is obviously much younger than himself. Feeling Miyazi's suspicious look, Luo Yi rolled his eyes and was too lazy to pay attention to her. Now that the rare Pokémon has been captured and the devil fruit has been obtained, the remaining Pokémon in the forest are a bunch of ordinary Pokémon. It's time to leave. There is no need to waste words with this stupid woman. Lucario, let's go. Hearing Luo Yi's words, Lucario followed Luo Yi respectfully and was very obedient. At this time, in Lucario's heart, Luo Yi's status has undergone earth-shaking changes. Not only is the power of the wave extremely powerful, but his methods are also mysterious. He watched Pikachu eat the thunder fruit with his own eyes. A basically useless Pikachu became like a mythical beast in just a few minutes. He was so surprised. In Lucario's heart, only the god of creation has such magical means. Seeing that Lucario was really caught by Luo Yi in the Pokeball, Miyazi was completely shocked. The super rare Pokémon Lucario was actually caught by Luo Yi at such a young age. If this matter were to be spread out, it would probably shock the entire Pokémon world. Seeing Luo Yi getting farther and farther away from her, Miyazi seemed to suddenly think of something. She turned her eyes, pounced forward, hugged Luo Yi in her arms, and said coquettishly, "Thank you for saving me, little friend. Why don't you stay with me for a while? After I catch the Pokémon, we can go out together. I'll take you to eat ice cream." Okay, people will be scared if they are alone, so just accompany them and it will be fine soon. At this time, although Miyazi was acting like a spoiled child to Luo Yi, there was a hint of cunning in her eyes, and her little abacus was clanging in her heart. If she persuaded Luo Yi to go with her to find Pokémon, then Lucario would definitely follow. With Lucario, she could choose any Pokémon in the whole forest. Thinking that she might get any Pokémon she wanted next, Miyazi was already very happy. She never thought that Luo Yi would reject her. Acting like a spoiled child was her secret weapon. She had never met a boy who could resist her. "Little friend, since you have Lucario, then your sister will eat you." At this time, being held in Miyazi's arms, he could vaguely feel 2 pieces of soft meat on his back, but Luo Yi was not moved at all. Instead, his face fell in an instant. With more than 20 years of experience as a super-rich second generation in his previous life, Luo Yi had been surrounded by countless people who wanted to take advantage of him. He was by no means a stupid person. On the contrary, he was very clear about the intentions of others approaching him. The woman behind him wanted to use him nakedly. How could he not hear it? "You've gone too far," Luo Yi said in a low voice. What did you say?" Miyazi was stunned, not quite understanding what Luo Yi said. However, the next second, Miazi felt that Luo Yi broke free from her arms. At the same time, a small slap quickly enlarged in her eyes. Snap! Breaking free, turning around in one go, Luo Yi's small slap hit Miazi's face hard. Get lost, I don't have time. Chapter 9. Get lost, I'm busy. After slapping Miazi on the face, Luo Yi walked out of the forest without looking back. Being dizzy and driven around by a woman's little coquetry is completely impossible for Luo Yi. Of course, Luo Yi will remember those who are good to him, but he will never be soft-hearted to those who want to use him. Coquetry should be a kind of interaction with people who are close to you, rather than a means for women to achieve their goals. Luo Yi has no good feelings for such women who use their inherent advantages to achieve their goals. Such a woman is still coquettishly asking for favors from you today, and may ask for kisses in someone else's arms tomorrow. Luo Yi can't be too lazy to pay attention to such a woman. At this time, Miazi was sitting on the ground in a daze, one side of her face was swollen and her nose began to bleed. This slap made her doubt her life. Looking at Luo Yi's figure going away, Miazi felt a little fear in her heart, as if that was not a young boy, but there seemed to be an extremely terrifying existence in his small body. At this time, in the open space behind the institute near the Pokémon forest, several teachers from the Pokémon school were chatting. I really don't know what kind of Pokémons those children will get. Yes, looking at them is like seeing myself when I was little, it's so happy. They shouldn't be in danger, I'm a little worried. Don't worry, the White Glass Research Institute will do its job properly, so don't worry. Hey? Whose student is that? Why did he come out so soon? At this moment, a teacher saw Luo Yi walking out of the forest. It's a little kid. Whose student is he? He is allowed to enter the Pokémon forest at such a young age. All the teachers noticed Luo Yi coming out of the Pokémon forest at once, and all of them looked strange. Although each of them allowed a talented student who was not yet in the graduating grade to enter the Pokémon forest, there was no one as young as Luo Yi. He looked like he was no more than 12 years old. No matter how talented he was, he couldn't succeed. After seeing Luo Yi's appearance clearly, a female teacher recognized Luo Yi at once. He was a freshman this year and a member of the class she had just taken over. She was Luo Yi's homeroom teacher, named Mieko. Today was not only the graduation day for her previous class, but also the day she accepted the new class. Luo Yi, how are you? Are you hurt? Recognizing Luo Yi, Mieko immediately ran to him and squatted down to look at him carefully, fearing that he might get hurt in the Pokémon forest. Even a graduate student could get hurt in the Pokémon forest, let alone an 8-year-old boy who had just entered school. It's okay, teacher. I'm fine. Seeing the genuine concern in the teacher's eyes, Luo Yi no longer had the indifference he had just shown to Mieko, and said obediently. At the same time, Luo Yi looked around, but found that this was no longer the place he entered at the beginning. It seems that the entrance and exit of the Pokémon forest are not in the same place. It's a pity that I don't know how the beautiful researcher sister is doing. Seeing that Luo Yi was fine, Mieko finally breathed a sigh of relief. Luo Yi was about to comfort his head teacher, but he heard several teachers not far away talking at once. Mieko, you are really amazing. You actually allowed such a young child to enter the Pokémon forest. That's right. Even if your grades have not been ideal in the past few years, you can't rush to seek medical treatment and put your hopes on a child. Seriously, Mieko, you are not a teacher at all. You let such a young child take risks just for your own grades. No wonder you can't teach any students to get good grades, this is how you are a teacher. These people laughed and ridiculed Mieko. As teachers in the same Pokémon school, there is naturally a lot of competition in secret. Now that there is a chance to belittle others and elevate themselves, they will naturally not let it go. Listening to these malicious sarcasm, Luo Yi's face suddenly sank. He knew that it was his recklessness that made these people misunderstand Mieko, thinking that Mieko allowed Luo Yi to enter the Pokémon forest. Mieko's face suddenly turned red. She didn't know whether she was angry or wronged. Her hands were shaking a little. But she didn't blame Luo Yi. She looked at Luo Yi with concern, and moved her position to block Luo Yi and several teachers who were mocking her not far away, so that Luo Yi wouldn't see those people's disgusting faces. Mieko could block the figures of these people, but she couldn't block their voices. What a pity, Mieko, you didn't plan well enough. This kid came out after just 20 minutes, so it's obvious that he didn't catch the Pokémon. The shortest record is still 2 hours away. Mieko, you must be stupid to let a little kid into the Pokémon forest. I think this little guy must be scared. It's better to come out early, so that our teacher Mieko doesn't have any illusions. Mieko, you are so ridiculous. This is the first time I have seen a teacher like you. You let a little kid catch Pokémons. Ha 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 ha. This student must have been hit hard in there, and he must not want to enter the forest Pokémons again for the rest of his life. There was a flash of anger in Mieko's eyes, which was dissatisfaction with those disgusting colleagues. At the same time, there was some worry in her eyes, worried that Luo Yi was really frightened in the forest. Although she didn't know why Luo Yi came out of the Pokémon forest, she still comforted him. It's okay, you are still young, and it doesn't matter if you can't catch the Pokémons. When you learn the relevant knowledge, you will become stronger. Luo Yi glanced at his teacher, listening to them who were mocking him. He was extremely dissatisfied in his heart, tilted his head, and said innocently, "No, teacher, I have found the initial Pokémon." As soon as the voice fell, Luo Yi suddenly felt the scene quiet, and even his teacher Mieko was stunned. Chapter 10. No, teacher, I have already found the initial Pokémon. As soon as the voice fell, Luo Yi suddenly felt the scene quiet down, and his teacher was also stunned. Ha ha ha, this kid must be scared silly. It's only been a short time. How could an Pokémon be willing to go with a stranger like this? Yes, this kid is really good at telling jokes. Our best record holder was 2 hours. Although these Pokémons are not wild, they have been captured by humans. How could they follow strangers so easily? They all thought Luo Yi was mentally ill. Not to mention that Luo Yi was young. Even if he was a graduate, it would be impossible for him to catch the initial Pokémons in such a short time. Even if he threw energy blocks that Pokémons liked, he couldn't do it so quickly. Pokémons also have independent thinking ability. If a stranger suddenly gave you some food, humans would suspect that he had bad intentions. Luo Yi, don't lie. Teacher Mieko glanced at Luo Yi and knew that Luo Yi was trying to find a way to save face for herself. She was touched, but such words were meaningless and would soon be exposed. She also didn't believe that Luo Yi could make the Pokémons recognize him in just 20 minutes. This had never happened before. Even if children from rich families tried to lure the Pokémons with crazy food, it would take a long time. In particular, Luo Yi was too young, which made people subconsciously think that Luo Yi couldn't catch the Pokémons. Luo Yi was helpless. Why didn't his teacher believe in him? It was so sad and uncomfortable. No, teacher, I really found my initial Pokémon, and it is willing to go with me. Luo Yi shook his head, looked at his teacher innocently with his watery eyes, and said very seriously. What's so strange about this? It's just a little faster, and it's just a little younger. Luo Yi was a little helpless. Of course, he didn't know that in the many years that the Babo Research Institute held the selection of initial Pokémons, the best record was 2 hours, and the youngest Pokémon was only 13 years old. But the Pokémon in the record was a ruthless sting-tail worm. If you tell passers-by now that the 8-year-old Luo Yi got the recognition of the initial Pokémon within 20 minutes, he will definitely spit at you. And then he will definitely spray you angrily. Do you think I'm stupid? Then, little classmate, why didn't your initial Pokémon come with you? A male teacher pointed behind Luo Yi and said with a teasing look on his face. He must have run away and he didn't notice. What a stupid child, haha. Another female teacher mocked. You said this, snap. Luo Yi snapped his white and tender fingers coolly, and then shouted loudly. Come out, Lucario. After hearing what Luo Yi said suddenly, they were all stunned, and suddenly they couldn't help laughing. They just thought it was funny. Could this child have hypochondria, Lucario? What a rare Pokémon, how could the institute release it to students? It's really a child, too naive, lying without thinking. They thought it was too absurd and laughed so hard that tears were about to fall. However, the next moment, a sturdy figure suddenly fell from the sky. Instantly landed on Luo Yi's side. The other teachers who were mocking Luo Yi stopped laughing suddenly, as if they were ducks with their necks pinched, and their bodies were directly petrified. This Pokémon! It's Lucario! They cried out in unison, and even Luo Yi's teacher Mieko was frightened. At this time, the people who had just laughed at Luo Yi and Mieko were shocked, and they were also shocked. Chapter 11. Is this true? Lucario? Is it really Lucario? At this moment, in addition to shock, they were also shocked. The male teacher who had just mocked Luo Yi stared at Lucario in a daze, his mouth wide open in shock. Of course it's real, it's right here, are your eyes broken? Looking at the dumbfounded male teacher, Luo Yi spread his hands helplessly. Weren't you mocking very hard just now? Why are you dumbfounded now that Lucario has appeared? If it weren't for my Thunder Pikachu still sleeping, the elemental transformation would scare you to death. How can this be? The research institute would not provide such a rare Pokémon to students. Is there something wrong? It must be wrong. The other teachers all expressed disbelief, and even suspected that something was wrong. However, Lucario was indeed standing in front of them alive. It was not fake. They were sure of this. Just when they were all in doubt, a very beautiful female researcher ran out of the forest. It was the female researcher who was slapped on the butt by Luo Yi at the entrance of the deep forest. Great, I finally found you, I'm glad you're okay. Seeing Luo Yi standing there, the female researcher finally breathed a sigh of relief. But the next moment, she saw Lucario next to Luo Yi, and her expression and body froze, as if petrified. Assistant Xiaozu, is Lucario also from your Babo Research Institute? Was it a deliberate arrangement by the institute, or was there some mistake? Come on, speak up. Is this really arranged by the institute? The teachers around saw the researcher coming and asked anxiously, wanting him, the assistant of the institute, to give an explanation. Lucario, is the Pokémon from our research institute. That's right. The female researcher looked up and down at the Lucario beside Luo Yi with shocked eyes, and finally murmured in admission. But we didn't release it. Did we neglect it? The female researcher's face looked a little ugly. If that was the case, she would probably be severely punished by Dr. Baibo. At this time, the female researcher no longer cared about Luo Yi patting her butt. It was not a trivial matter for Lucario to become someone else's Pokémon. After getting the reply from the female researcher, the teachers' faces froze, still in shock and disbelief. Is Lucario really from Baibo's Research Institute? The Research Institute is willing to give such a rare Pokémon to a child. How is this possible? How can it be so cheap? They couldn't believe it and only felt incredible. Is this true? Great, Luo Yi. Hearing the news, the overjoyed teacher Mieko immediately hugged Luo Yi in her arms. If she hadn't been weak, she would have picked Luo Yi up to celebrate. Luo Yi, my good student, you gave the teacher a big surprise and made the teacher proud. She was extremely excited. It took less than 20 minutes to get the recognition of the initial Pokémons. And it was Lucario. What a shocking thing! Especially, Luo Yi was only 8 years old, and he simply broke many records in Kana's city by himself. If they knew that it was Lucario who took the initiative to find Luo Yi, their hearts would probably stop beating in shock. Oh, teacher, I can't breathe. Luo Yi was buried in the chest of the beautiful teacher Miwaizi, and he almost couldn't breathe. At this time, Luo Yi's mood also recovered. If Miwaizi was wronged because of him, Luo Yi would not feel good. Luo Yi would never escape from what he should bear. However, Miwaizi's chest was really soft, Luo Yi felt uncomfortable and happy. Did the Babo Research Institute really prepare Lucario for its students? He is only 8 years old. 1. Teacher still asked in disbelief. I need to discuss this with Dr. Babo. You are a student recognized by Lucario, right? Come with me. The female researcher didn't know how to deal with this situation for a moment, and finally had to let Luo Yi follow her to see Dr. Babo. It's over, I must have forgotten Lucario, it's over. I said, researcher sister, what are you mumbling about? Luo Yi followed her and heard the female researcher mumbling something in a low voice. He couldn't help but ask curiously. Nothing, wait here for a moment. The female researcher showed an ugly smile, no longer caring about Luo Yi patting her butt. She then asked Luo Yi to stay in the corridor and walked into the room. After a while, Luo Yi heard a thunderous and angry voice from inside, which seemed to be the scolding of a middle-aged man. What the hell is this? Aren't you here to get a few more Pokeballs? Luo Yi felt something was wrong when he heard this from outside. Didn't this sister ask him to get Lucario's Pokeball? After waiting for a while, the female researcher finally opened the door. With a hint of apology on her face, she forced a smile and motioned for Luo Yi to go in. Luo Yi stepped inside and saw a middle-aged man in a research suit in front of the laboratory table. Seeing his appearance, Luo Yi guessed that this person should be Dr. Bai Bo. At this time, Dr. Bai Bo was facing away from Luo Yi, with his hands behind his back, and there was a faint feeling of keep away from strangers. Are you trying to scare me with this gesture? Hee hee. Luo Yi thought to himself, no matter what, Lucario is his. Hearing Luo Yi's voice coming in, Dr. Bai Bo turned around, only to see that the man had a gloomy face and unfriendly eyes. If it were another 8-year-old child, he might have been scared and cried. But Luo Yi certainly wouldn't be so unbearable. Facing the furious Dr. Bai Bo, Luo Yi smiled. Lucario is an important member of the White Glass Laboratory. As Dr. Bai Bo spoke, he glanced at Luo Yi. Seeing Luo Yi's expression, Dr. Bai Bo's voice suddenly stopped and got stuck in his throat. He couldn't say a word. Moreover, his eyes were bulging. The young master of Duan Group. Why are you here? Chapter 12. You are, the young master of Devon Group. Dr. Bai Bo stared at the child in front of him with his eyes bulging out. He originally thought that he was a student from an ordinary family. After all, those who came to the Pokémon school and also came to his own research institute to select the initial Pokémons were basically children from ordinary families. He did not expect that he was still the young master of Devon Group. Although Dr. Bai Bo had never really met the young master of Devon Group, after all, Devon Group had sponsored Bai Bo's research institute, so Dr. Bai Bo also deliberately learned about Devon Group, so he knew what the second young master of Devon Group, Luo Yi, looked like. Luo Yi pouted, shrugged, and spread his hands at him. Although he did not admit it out loud, his attitude had already made his answer clear. The expression on Dr. Bai Bo's face changed again and again, and many years flashed through his mind in an instant. Finally, he smiled awkwardly. This. He can subdue Lucario by himself at such a young age, he is worthy of being the young master of the Devon Group. After flattering Luo Yi, Dr. Bai Bo's expression has returned to normal, and there is no sign of anything. He then said, in this case, Xiaozu, go get Lucario's Pokeball and its favorite food. Hearing what Dr. Bai Bo said, Xiaozu was stunned and looked at Dr. Bai Bo at a loss. Did Dr. Bai Bo scold him just now, saying that Dr. Bai Bo personally came forward to mediate and told the student that it was just an accident and wanted to take Lucario back? What are you still standing there for? Go. Dr. Bai Bo said. With Dr. Bai Bo's urging, the female researcher came back to her senses and hurried to get Lucario's Pokeball. At this time, Luo Yi knew very well the reason for Dr. Bai Bo's change of attitude, which was because of his identity as the young master of Duan Group. But since Bai Bo's laboratory was so tactful, Luo Yi was too lazy to argue with them. He was still thinking about going back to the classroom and letting the little fat boy kneel down and call him grandpa. After a while, the female researcher brought Lucario's Pokeball and some food that Lucario liked and handed them to Dr. Bai Bo. Dr. Bai Bo solemnly handed Lucario's Pokeball to Luo Yi, and symbolically said some words of encouragement to Luo Yi, and Luo Yi was able to leave. However, looking at the Pokeball in his hand, Luo Yi casually put it in his pocket. For this kind of thing, why would he need Bai Bo's laboratory to give it to him? He could just ask the system for as much as he wanted. After waiting for Luo Yi to leave, the laboratory became quiet. Doctor, didn't you say you would personally tell him that this was an accident and that Lucario couldn't go with him? After Luo Yi left with the Lucario Pokeball, Assistant Xiao Zhu asked in confusion. He is the second young master of Duan Group. Drive. Bai Bo shook his head and frowned. Hey? Is this true? No way, how can the second young master of Duan Company be in an ordinary Pokémon school? Aren't most people in aristocratic Pokémon schools? The assistant said in disbelief. Humph, his father is the president of a large group and single-handedly supports the entire Duan Group. Can you guess how such a person behaves? Oh, by the way, doctor, if I remember correctly, the league champion Daigo is also the young master of Duan Company. Well, Daigo is his brother, right? Remember that Lucario was given to us by Daigo? Now it is not inappropriate to give it to his brother as the starting Pokémon. After listening to Dr. Bai Bo's words, the assistant suddenly realized, but seemed to think of something else. Doctor, I remember when Daigo handed Lucario to us, didn't he say that this Lucario was once exiled from the tribe, and that it was powerful but arrogant, and even he couldn't control it? Will it get into trouble if I give it to his brother now? He's just a kid. Humph, is it worth your worry? Lucario has already recognized him, why are you worrying so much? Go check the Pokémons if you have time, don't let anything go wrong. Okay. Don't mention this anymore. If you hadn't let Lucario go, how could this happen? Dr. Babo said irritably. Dr. Babo and the others didn't know that Lucario, who was exiled by the tribe, actually felt Luo Yi's waveguide and came to Luo Yi to recognize his master. If they knew, they would be shocked and said it was impossible. You know, Lucario is famous for his super strong strength in the research institute, and his personality is even more famous for being withdrawn. Even the league champion Daigo admitted that he couldn't control Lucario. How could they believe that a rookie Pokémon trainer could get Lucario's active surrender? Although Dr. Babo didn't stop it at this time, he was still full of reluctance in his heart. Lucario is such a precious Pokémon, and he just ran away with a child. He didn't believe that Lucario could play any value to Luo Yi. No matter how prominent his family background is, he is just a young boy. How can he become a real Pokémon trainer? Such a rare Lucario has become a child's toy, what a pity. What a pity. Dr. Babo sighed, his tone full of regret, but what he didn't know was that he would soon be crying and shouting with a bunch of Pokémon doctors, begging Luo Yi to let them see a Pikachu that could transform into an element. The road for elementary school student Luo Yi to dominate the entire Pokémon world has officially begun. Chapter 13. After coming out of the White Glass Laboratory, Luo Yi returned to his teacher. The time for selecting Pokémons was the whole morning, so Luo Yi certainly would not wait here until the end. After saying hello, under the proud gaze of teacher Mieko and the complicated expressions of other teachers, he and Lucario left the White Glass Research Institute first. Did he actually get Lucario? How is it possible, to have a super rare Pokémon like Lucario at such a young age? That's Lucario, not a Stingtail. How can the White Glass Research Institute be willing to give it up? The other teachers all put on sour faces. If their own students got Lucario, it would be fine. Now they watched other students get Lucario. They felt sour in their hearts. Because they knew that such a thing would never happen again. What did you say before? Now you know how good my students are. Luo Yi's teacher Mieko said proudly. At this time, they remembered that they had just ridiculed Luo Yi and Mieko, and their faces turned slightly red and they felt embarrassed. Teacher Mieko looked at them with disdain, and she felt that the frustration just now was swept away. She felt so proud in front of her colleagues, and she felt indescribably comfortable. Luo Yi, you really surprised the teacher, she thought happily in her heart. After leaving the Pokémon forest, Luo Yi returned to the classroom and appeared in the class riding on Lucario's shoulders, shocking everyone. He glanced coldly at the little fat boy who had made a bet with him before. Luo Yi saw the little fat boy's pants wet with urine, and turned away without saying anything. Luo Yi's soul is at least a normal person in his 20s. Luo Yi can't bully a child too much. But he also wants to let them know that Luo Yi is a person who must not be provoked. After Luo Yi left, the frightened little fat boy burst into tears, leaving a shadow of Luo Yi in his heart for many years. Back home, Luo Yi couldn't wait to go to his backyard with Lucario. It's called a backyard, but in fact it covers a small hill. At this time, Luo Yi was already impatient. Just now in the Pokémon forest, Pikachu had shown its strength after eating the devil fruit, but Luo Yi didn't know how powerful this Lucario was. You have to know that Lucario is his first fighting force in the unstable state of Pikachu. Of course, Luo Yi also wanted to have a detailed communication with the system, but unfortunately, the system was still closed. Luo Yi could only give up and let Lucario show his strength in person. Bang! 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 At this time, the thick and strong trees in front of Lucario were already broken into pieces under Lucario's attack. Boom! Dust flew up, and a piece of abandoned grass was blown up by him. During this time, Lucario showed Luo Yi its power, which made Luo Yi sigh that Lucario was really strong, and he was full of emotion. This super rare humanoid Pokémon was even more powerful than Luo Yi had imagined. Lucario, you did very well, take a break, it's up to you in the afternoon. Luo Yi knew that Lucario would definitely win first place in the first battle held by the Pokémon School in the afternoon. The Pokémon School will hold an event in the afternoon, that is, the Pokémon School will hold the first battle for students. This graduation battle event is very important, it can be said to be the most important day in the Pokémon School. Because children from ordinary families can basically only have the opportunity to obtain precious Pokémon illustrations in this event. As everyone knows, the Pokémon illustrations are very precious things, and they are also important credentials for registering for the Pokémon League and obtaining the qualification to participate. Since the Pokémon illustrations are very precious, the number will naturally not be large, so the Pokémon School will naturally give the precious Pokémon illustrations to some students with good qualifications. The cruel reality of the Pokémon world can be. As you can see, there will be such a brutal competition at the starting line of the Pokémon trainer, and some students with poor strength will be eliminated. According to the Pokémon School, if you are so weak, you will lose face for the Pokémon School in Kana's city. Therefore, students with poor strength are not allowed to graduate from the Pokémon School, and the precious Pokémon illustrated book is even more wishful. Of course, Luo Yi is not worried about this kind of thing at all. With Lucario's strength, what graduation battle? All of them will be beaten, okay? No exaggeration, with Lucario, there is no pressure to beat the entire Pokémon School. Luo Yi thought domineeringly. Once graduated, Luo Yi will become the youngest Pokémon trainer in the entire Kana city. The youngest trainer. Chapter 14. By the way, Lucario, you said that my wave guide is very strong. During the break, Luo Yi suddenly had a question in his mind and asked Lucario. Yes, you are the most powerful existence I have ever seen. Lucario stared at Luo Yi with a burning gaze, and silently added in his heart that he was several times stronger than himself, the most powerful existence among the Lucario tribe. Oh, so why did you choose someone with strong power to be your trainer? Luo nodded, then stroked his chin and asked another question. Because Lucario's power is closely related to Wave, if the Pokémon trainer Wave is strong, Lucario's power will be even stronger. Lucario spoke frankly and directly stated why he chose Luo Yi. There is such a saying? That's good, Luo. Yi nodded. It turned out that the trainer's wave power was related to Lucario's power. No wonder Lucario only looked for masters with strong wave power. After understanding Lucario's heart, Luo Yi took out a Pokeball from his pocket. It was the Pokeball of Pikachu who ate the Thunder Fruit. Come out, Thunder Pikachu! A red light flashed, and a small figure suddenly appeared on the ground. It was Pikachu who ate the Thunder Fruit. However, he was still sleeping. What's going on? Luo Yi squatted down and touched here and patted there, but Pikachu was still sleeping and didn't respond. Are you going to be killed by me, Luo? Yi muttered. Lucario, come and take a closer look at this guy. Master, this Pikachu is undergoing mysterious changes. My wave power can no longer check his internal condition. Lucario said helplessly. But master, don't worry. I can feel that his vitality is very strong, which is very different from before. It seems that he is undergoing a new transformation. After listening to Lucario's voice transmission, Luo Yi poked Pikachu's belly with his hand and thought of a possibility. Could it be elementalization? Luo Yi knew that the natural devil fruit could make people elemental, and they could exert basic abilities the moment they ate the fruit, but as the first Pokémon in history to eat the devil fruit, Luo Yi couldn't really tell what would happen to Pikachu. It has been half a morning since he ate the devil fruit, and Pikachu is still sleeping. But since Lucario has confirmed that Pikachu's life is safe, Luo Yi is no longer worried. What kind of wonderful changes will happen can only be confirmed when Pikachu wakes up. However, Luo Yi has a strange premonition that he seems to have missed something important. Shaking his head, Luo Yi no longer thinks about Pikachu. The graduation test in the afternoon is about to begin. Going to school? Not possible. Luo Yi, who has Lucario, who is qualified to teach him. Let's go, the graduation test of the Pokémon School is about to begin. Kanazawa is a beautiful city located on the seaside. There is an observation tower on the mountain next to it. There are many large buildings and skyscrapers in the city. It is a well-known large city with a sense of technology in the Hone region. Since it is a big city, there are naturally many shops with gorgeous decorations. There are all kinds of shops on both sides of the street, and the products displayed behind the transparent glass are dazzling. Well, let's wear a cloak, which can make Lucario less conspicuous. Luo Yi said while walking on the street of Kana's city, looking at the clothes displayed in the clothing store beside the road. Luo Yi keenly noticed that Lucario did not seem to like staying in the Pokeball, so he wanted to use a way to let Lucario follow him, but at the same time not so conspicuous. Things like hooded cloaks can hide Lucario's figure. Although walking on the road will still attract attention, it is much better than appearing directly in front of passers-by. Of course, the cloak is not bought now. Thinking of the concealed figure, Luo Yi glanced at the bodyguard hidden among the pedestrians behind him without leaving a trace. The bodyguard was of course sent by his cheap father in this world to protect his safety. According to the president of Devon Group, that is, his father, the students trained in the noble Pokémon school will definitely like Daigo. He is obsessed with Pokémons, so he is unwilling to let Luo Yi go to the aristocratic Pokémon school like Daigo. As the president of the Devon Group who built up from scratch, Zifuki also doesn't like that kind of tutoring. He thinks that Luo Yi trained in this way will be the kind of person who is not good at socializing. Therefore, after a compromise, he let Luo Yi go to an ordinary Pokémon school to study. Since it is not an aristocratic school with good security facilities, bodyguards are naturally indispensable. Fortunately, at Luo Yi's repeated requests, the bodyguards responsible for security are at least not the kind of close-fitting ones, otherwise Luo Yi would be very uncomfortable. After walking along the streets of Kana's city for a while, Luo Yi came to the Kana's Pokémon school. There are excited teenagers in the open space of the Pokémon school now. They are basically surrounded by the initial Pokémons selected in the Babo Research Institute in the morning. Look, mine is a coyote. Wow, it looks so fierce. Mine is a stingray. Hey, stingtail insects, I heard that there is a student in the next class who got the hunting swallowtail butterfly. I don't know who it is. It's me, Izzy. I heard that the hunting swallowtail butterfly is the final evolution of the stingray. It looks very powerful. Mine is a snake bear, and it seems to like me very much. Luo Yi walked among these people, listening to the boasting or envious words of his classmates around him, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. These children were like getting their favorite toys, and they couldn't help showing off to their friends with excitement. Haha, kid, what are you doing here? Be careful not to get hurt by the Pokémons. Kid, you can get a Pokémon when you graduate. They certainly didn't expect Luo Yi to have a Pokémon, and the teachers didn't announce the news, so none of the graduates knew about it yet. The only one whose initial Pokémon was Lucario. Hearing their talk, Luo Yi smiled helplessly. Haha, coyote dog? Serpentine bear? What kind of rubbish are these? My Pokémon is the awesome Lucario. Of course, Luo Yi was too lazy to argue with them, so he didn't intend to release Lucario at this moment. Because Luo Yi knew that when they knew their initial Pokémon, the confidence that these people had built up with great difficulty would collapse in front of Lucario. Hehe. I hope you can still laugh during the battle this afternoon. At this moment, Luo Yi suddenly felt uncomfortable, as if he was being stared at. Turning his head, he saw a tall man standing not far away, staring at Luo Yi with unfriendly eyes. Luo Yi was stunned. He had a feeling that this man with hostile eyes was not a graduate of this year's school. Chapter 15. Luo Yi turned his head and saw a tall man standing not far away, staring at Luo Yi with a bad look in his eyes. Seeing that Luo Yi noticed him, the tall man grinned and walked straight to Luo Yi without any hesitation. You must be Luo Yi, right? I am your senior Xiao Tian, who agreed to enter the school today and become one of your examiners. But I have another identity, I am Miyazi's brother. Oda said in a cold tone, you know what you did. Although you are just a child, you should pay the price for what you did. Seeing that Luo Yi was not afraid of him at all, Oda flashed a gloomy look. Although it was fleeting, Luo Yi, who was observant, still noticed it. Luo Yi raised his eyebrows. So that's it. This so-called senior Oda came to avenge the slap in the Pokémon forest. Laugh. Luo Yi sneered lightly, not taking the so-called senior Xiao Tian in front of him seriously at all. Seeing Luo Yi's reaction, Xiao Tian finally lost his temper and his face suddenly darkened. Although you are young, once you are on the battlefield, you are a Pokémon trainer. Don't expect me to show mercy. Oda said viciously, you are a rare genius in Kana's city for being able to get Pokémon to recognize their master at such a young age, but a new trainer must have the awareness of a new trainer. No matter what kind of Pokémons you have, you are doomed to lose. Luo Yi looked at the angry Xiao Tian in front of him, and a mocking smile appeared on his face. Maybe you don't know, but I can arbitrarily designate who will play against me for the first time, and I alone will decide the results. Oda finally couldn't hold back his anger, and his words were already threatening. You? Ha ha ha. Under Senior Oda's doubtful gaze, Luo Yi actually laughed mockingly. What are you laughing at? As if sensing Luo Yi's strong disdain, Senior Oda said angrily. However, Luo Yi seemed to have lost interest in talking to him at this time. Under his astonished gaze, Luo Yi no longer paid attention to him and turned away directly. Just relying on a piece of trash like you? Luo Yi turned away with a dangerous light in his eyes. Dare to threaten me? I will show you what despair is later. As for the threat from this so-called Senior Oda, Luo Yi did not take it seriously at all, and just thought he was telling a joke. In the graduation battle, the first thing is to fight against Oda and other examiners. The performance in the battle can show whether one has the potential to become an elite trainer. The examiner will give scores based on the performance in the battle. Only students who have proved their potential and obtained high scores will be recognized by the school and provided with precious Pokémon illustrated books. The Pokémon illustrated book is an important certificate for registering for the Pokémon League, and it is also very important to Luo Yi. Luo Yi knew that since his father did not want him to become a Pokémon trainer, he would not provide it to him. So if he wanted to get the Pokémon illustrated book, he could only start from the Pokémon school. Judging from Oda's previous performance, as one of the judges, he probably used the test to make things difficult for him. He was the one who had the initial Pokémon, but Luo Yi was dismissive of him. This class of graduating students who just got their initial Pokémon in the morning started their first battle in the afternoon. The purpose was to test the students' ability to control the Pokémon. According to common sense, Luo Yi really couldn't be the opponent of Xiao Tian, a trainer who had been exposed to Pokémon for a long time. Especially the corresponding knowledge and the ability to control Pokémon, it is obvious that they are very insufficient. Some teachers even think that even if Luo Yi gets Pokémon, he still can't graduate. But is Luo Yi an ordinary Pokémon trainer? Obviously not. Xiao Tian wants to judge his own strength? Is he qualified? Luo Yi's mouth corners slightly raised, showing a disdainful smile. A weak person wants to point fingers at the strong who crushes him? And pretend to evaluate the score? It's ridiculous. Classmates, this is Oda who is in charge of the strength test for our class. He is your senior. You must learn from him, because he is your predecessor. Just after Luo Yi returned to the team, Senior Oda and Teacher Mieko came over, and then Teacher Mieko introduced Oda to them. Facing Senior Oda, who was about to test their strength, Luo Yi's classmates flocked to him. Some flattered him, while others pretended to be nice to him. They all wanted to gain the favor of Senior Oda. After all, whether they would pass the strength test later depended on Senior Oda. The result of this battle was the key to whether they could graduate successfully and obtain the Pokémon illustrated book provided by the school. The Pokémon illustrated book was very precious, and Kana's the city Pokémon school can only give out 30 pieces, which is 1/3 of the total number of 100 students. Therefore, the proportion of them who can obtain the Pokémon encyclopedia is not high, only 1 in every 3 people can get it, and the one who can improve their competitiveness is Senior Oda, who judges their strength. Naturally, they are eager to use all their skills to win the favor of Senior Oda. Oda was surrounded by the crowd, and he glanced at Luo Yi meaningfully with pride. Noticing Oda's gaze, Luo Yi smiled with contempt, raised his hand and directly raised an international gesture to him. Middle finger up. Chapter 16. Sensing Oda's gaze, Luo Yi smiled with contempt, raised his hand and gave him an international gesture. Middle finger up. Oda, who thought Luo Yi would give in, was stunned for a moment, and then his face darkened. Although he didn't know the meaning of Luo Yi's gesture, he could tell from Luo Yi's contemptuous look that this middle finger definitely didn't have any good meaning. He was so angry that his teeth itched. Looking at Luo Yi with a sinister look, Oda didn't say much, but he made up his mind to make Luo Yi embarrassed in front of everyone. At this time, the Pokémon school has been divided into 5 areas for Pokémon battles. Luo Yi followed Teacher Mieko and others to the battle site assigned to them, ready to start their first Pokémon battle. As a new Pokémon trainer, this performance directly determines whether they are eligible to obtain the precious Pokémon illustrated book provided by the school. They are all excited and eager to try. Of course, Luo Yi is definitely the most outstanding one among them. Teacher Mieko personally holds his hand and comes to the battle site together. At this time, some clever classmates had guessed that this child, who looked less than 10 years old, might also participate in the Pokémon battle. However, these people were full of disbelief. Such a young child had his own Pokémon? This was unheard of. Students, pay attention to the order, let's line up, don't rush. Teacher Mieko clapped her hands to attract the students' attention, and then signaled the excited students to line up and take the practical test with Oda in turn. Teacher, can I decide the order of their battles? At this time, Oda came up and said to Teacher Mieko with a smile. Ah, Sure, no problem, you decide. Mieko was startled at first, but didn't think much about it, then smiled gently and nodded. Thank you, teacher. After receiving the permission, Xiao Tian showed a smile of success on his face, and turned to walk towards Luo Yi and his group of students. Senior Oda. I'll go first, I'll go first. Go away. Senior Oda, choose me, choose me. Mr. Oda. These students were so excited that they couldn't control themselves. They raised their hands to Oda, who was approaching them, saying that they could be the first to go on stage. They naively thought that as long as they did this, they would appear brave and receive Oda's praise and recognition. In that case, the evaluation score they would get would naturally not be low. Then, I will choose you. Under the expectant gazes of the crowd, Oda didn't even look at them. In his eyes, there was only Luo Yi. Finally, Oda's waving fingers stopped. The person he pointed at was Luo Yi next to teacher Mieko. Seeing that he was indeed pointing at himself, Luo Yi made a regretful sound. There is no door to hell, but you are here, boy, you kicked the steel plate. At this time, the other students saw Oda's actions and exclaimed. What? Is this kid also going to participate in the Pokémon competition? How is this possible? Senior Oda, you are not mistaken. Could it be true that someone could possess a fairy at such a young age with their own strength? Discussions arose everywhere, and the scene suddenly became a little chaotic. Okay, students, listen to me. Teacher Mieko clapped her hands, motioning for everyone to be quiet, and then said, Student Luo Yi also got his own Pokémon in the Pokémon Forest this morning. Both the school and the Beibo Research Institute have approved it, so Luo Yi is also qualified to participate in the competition. As for his age, it can only be said to be an exception. After hearing Mieko's words, the crowd suddenly became quiet for a moment, and then became chaotic again. It's a complete shattering of my worldview. He can become a Pokémon trainer? Then what are we? What the hell, when I was this age, I was still playing around with attribute restraint. The gap. It's so infuriating, my mentality is broken, my mentality is broken. At this moment, everyone felt envious and angry. They worked hard to study for so many years to have Pokémon, but others are only a few years old and they are already on the same level as themselves. In other words, these people's mentality is not right. Just when the situation was about to get out of control, Senior Oda shouted enough. At this moment, the crowd completely quieted down. Even if Luo Yi was powerful, it was other people's business. If Senior Oda in front of them got angry, they would be the ones with low scores. Luo Yi, come on. Are you scared? Seeing the crowd quiet down, Xiao Tian said to Luo Yi. Today I will let you know that being a Pokémon trainer is not that easy. As soon as Oda said this, many people nodded. They still couldn't believe that Luo Yi could become a real Pokémon trainer at such a young age. He must have relied on luck to get a Pokémon of his own. At this time, many people were looking forward to the battle between Luo Yi and Oda, and in that unbalanced mentality, many people hoped to see Luo Yi being severely defeated. You want to be a Pokémon trainer at such a young age? Do you think this is just playing house? That is it that easy to be a Pokémon trainer? You should go back to play in the mud, and don't get scared and cry later. Many people have already determined in their hearts that Luo Yi will definitely fail miserably. Chapter 17. However, Luo Yi looked at Xiao Tian calmly at this moment, without a trace of fear on his face. He was so calm that he didn't look like a young boy at all. Xiao Tian looked at Luo Yi and frowned slightly at his calm expression. Wasn't he afraid? Why was he still so calm? Xiao Tian was puzzled. Humph, you are just pretending. Wait till I show you my strength and see how you can remain calm. Although it is strange, the confident Xiao Tian only thought that Luo Yi was pretending to be calm, or that he was ignorant because he did not know his own strength. A newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. Next, I will let you know how high the mountains are and how deep the seas are. Xiao Tian can't wait. Teacher Mieko was stunned. Looking at the confident Xiao Tian and the calm Luo Yi, she felt a trace of pity in her heart for some reason. Xiao Tian, why are you courting death? Small. Teacher Mieko was about to explain Luo Yi's situation to Oda, but then she thought, it would be a good opportunity to see how strong Luo Yi is. Especially, Luo Yi is still young and has not received any training on Pokémon battles. Lucario is indeed strong, but the trainer's command also has a decisive influence on the battle between Pokémon. In the end, teacher Mieko chose to watch. After all, such a battle will not cause any substantial harm to Luo Yi. At this time, Luo Yi looked at Oda's expression of extreme desire to fight him, chuckled, and walked towards the ring. Release your initial Pokémon, is it Serpentine Bear? Or Coyote Dog? Or Prideful Swallow? The two walked to the trainer's position on the battlefield and stood there. Oda said arrogantly. Let your Pokémon out first, trash. In sharp contrast to Xiao Tian, Luo Yi's expression was very calm, but his words were extremely arrogant. Luo Yi, a primary school student, officially turned on Luo Aotian mode. The students who were watching heard Luo Yi's unscrupulous ridicule, and the outside world suddenly became quiet. They were all stunned and began to doubt their ears. Luo Yi, he scolded Senior Xiao Tian? He scolded Senior Xiao Tian. Trash? They were so surprised that they could stuff an apple into their mouths. They looked at Luo Yi in shock. Luo Yi was too bold. Xiao Tian also looked at the source of the sound with a stunned expression, and Luo Yi's expression showed a hint of disdain. What did you say? Oda gritted his teeth and said viciously. Didn't you hear clearly? Then I'll say it again, look at my mouth shape. Garbage. Rubbish. Luo Yi said word by word, quite arrogantly. The young men around heard it very clearly this time. After confirming that they had not heard it wrong, they looked at Luo Yi, who seemed to be radiating an unruly and domineering aura, and were speechless for a long time. You. Xiao Tian stuttered. At this time, he looked at Luo Yi with a sharp gaze, exuding an indescribable aura all over his body, and was so shocked that he couldn't speak clearly. Although he was not tall, it did not affect the strength of this aura at all. If Luo Yi was a sword in the scabbard with a hidden edge before, then now, the sword is out of the scabbard, pointing straight to the sky. Xiao Tian actually found that he had an inexplicable fear of Luo Yi at this time. Just when Xiao Tian and others were shocked by Luo Yi's arrogance, the voice of the system suddenly sounded in Luo Yi's head. System restart. Detected that the host is about to start a Pokémon battle, the battle points section is initialized. Shit. The system finally came alive. Ever since Luo Yi forced the system to tell him that the Yomiuri fruit was replaced by the Rumble fruit, the system has consumed too much energy and now it finally reappeared. Luo Yi's heart moved. He had too many things to ask the system. The Pikachu that ate the devil fruit was still sleeping, and the origin of this Pikachu sent by the system seemed to be not simple. The most important thing was how to get more devil fruits. Luo Yi was not satisfied with just getting a Rumble fruit. But before Luo Yi had time to ask, the system's voice sounded again. Battle points section, every time the host defeats a fairy, he will get corresponding points. The more powerful and rare the Pokémons are, the more points you will get. The function of points, exchange for devil fruits. Chapter 18. Here's a picture of Lucario. I've always thought this guy is pretty cool. How about giving him a tremor fruit? What are you doing standing there like an idiot? Are you scared? Hurry up, I don't have time to waste with you. Luo Yi's aura seemed to be restrained, and he returned to his previous calm appearance. A drop of cold sweat dripped from Xiaoshan's forehead. He swallowed dryly, looking at Luo Yi who now had a calm expression, and suddenly felt that it was just his illusion before. Was he actually scared just now? It seemed that he was scared. Xiao Tian gritted his teeth and clenched his fists, embarrassed by his fearful performance just now. He was angry and said viciously, how could I be scared? You came at the right time. Let me teach you a lesson. Oh? Really? I'll wait and see. Go, my big wolfhound. Xiao Tian angrily released his proud and only big wolfhound. As soon as the big wolfhound appeared, it immediately caused the students who had never seen the world to exclaim. Wow, it's a big wolfhound. It looks so powerful. Is the wolfhound the evolution of the coyote? Come on, coyote. You have to evolve quickly too. Senior Oda is awesome. Senior Oda, come on. A big wolfhound makes you so excited? Oh, won't my Lucario make you dizzy when he appears? Looking at the big wolfhound, Luo Yi's head automatically showed all the data of this coyote dog. Oda's wolfhound, physical strength 35, physical attack 55, physical defense 35, special attack 30, special defense 30, speed 35. Race value, 220. Defeating the giant wolfhound will earn the host 220 points. Looking at the various data of the coyote in his head, Luo Yi understood that the giant wolfhound in front of him had low data in all aspects, and it was obviously not of high level and not strong. Are the points delivered to your door, Luo? Yi chuckled. The big wolfhound in front of him could never be a match for Lucario. Even if Luo Yi didn't give any orders, Lucario would not fail. If they are all this kind of rubbish, the devil fruit will be at your fingertips. Luo Yi showed a playful smile on his face, and then threw Lucario's Pokeball. A ray of light flashed, and the majestic Lucario appeared on the field. Awoo! Under Lucario's fierce gaze, the big wolfhound instinctively feared. The weak instinctively feared the strong who could not match them. The proud Lucario's appearance seemed to bring a visual shock to everyone. Wow, what kind of Pokémon is this? So handsome! This kid actually got such a handsome Pokémon. I haven't seen it before. Is it not mentioned in the book? It looks so impressive. It's in the book. It's a very rare Pokémon, Lucario. Ah, it's Lucario. Wow! So handsome! It's so different from the picture in the book. So handsome! No way! Luo Yi's initial Pokémon is actually Lucario. This! How come I haven't encountered it? The students in the audience were instantly boiling with excitement, and they could hardly control themselves. They never thought that Luo Yi's initial Pokémon would be Lucario. Looking at the cold-faced Lucario on the field, their hearts could not calm down for a long time. At this time, they looked at Luo Yi with jealousy. Only teacher Mieko, who had known about the existence of Lucario for a long time, showed a proud smile. Even students from aristocratic schools find it difficult to see Lucario. Not to mention owning it. But my student, in the initial Pokémon selection of the Babo Research Institute, got Lucario in less than 20 minutes. Mieko looked at Luo Yi with full pride. Genius! A true genius rarely seen in Kana's city for 100 years. Lucario? How is it possible? The most shocked person was, of course, Oda, who was standing opposite Luo Yi at the moment. When Lucario appeared, his body froze in place, and his stunned expression at the moment was as if he had seen a ghost in broad daylight. It was actually Lucario? How is it possible? How could this be? In the Kana's Pokémon School, which is not a school for the nobility, aren't the general starting Pokémons like Coyote Dog, Thorny Tail, and Serpentine Bear? Why did Lucario appear? Oda was confused, and his mood at the moment was broken. Are you kidding? Lucario? Your original Pokémon. How could it be Lucario? Oda yelled in disbelief, unwilling to believe that the Lucario he saw was real. Oh, why is it impossible? If you can't have it, then it's impossible for others to have it. Luo Yi raised his eyebrows and asked with a chuckle. It. Xiao Tian couldn't find any words to refute for a moment. The White Glass Research Institute, which provided the initial Pokémon, had never said that there would be no Lucario. But over the years, weren't the initial Pokémons provided by the White Glass Research Institute ordinary Pokémons? Shouldn't this be something everyone knows? Could it be that it was just because of all these years that everyone, including himself, had poor qualifications and was not favored by Lucario? Xiao Tian began to doubt his life. Why are you talking so much nonsense? I don't have extra time to chat with you. Don't say I'm bullying you. You make the first move. Luo Yi hooked his finger at Xiao Tian and made a provocative gesture. Seeing that Luo Yi looked down on him, how could Xiao Tian bear it? He could no longer act like a senior and angrily ordered the big wolfhound to start attacking. So what about Lucario? In just one noon, maybe he didn't even understand Lucario's moves. With this idea in mind, Xiao Tian gave the big wolfhound an order. Big wolfhound! Show it some color. Bite! Looking at the speed of the big wolfhound's charge, Luo Yi thought to himself that it was okay, but compared to Lucario, it was nothing. Lucario, get out of the way! Looking at the big wolfhound rushing towards Lucario, Luo Yi said slowly. Swish! Awoo! The big wolfhound suddenly pounced on Lucario, but suddenly his eyes blurred and he pounced on nothing. Lucario had already disappeared from his sight. Lucario! Use close combat against the wolfhound. Luo Yi's mouth curled up slightly and he immediately ordered. Lucario can't teleport, it's just too fast, which makes the wolfhound have the illusion that Lucario disappeared instantly. Big wolfhound, be careful. It's above you. Oda reminded the big wolfhound anxiously, but when the big wolfhound raised its head, Lucario had already landed beside it. Lucario suddenly landed beside the big wolfhound, and with a resolute momentum, he pressed his arms and wrists together, and his palms were like a bloody mouth that opened wide, and suddenly hit the belly of the big wolfhound. Ouch! The wolfhound's abdomen was hit hard by Lucario, and its body curled up. The severe pain made it look painful and let out a howl. Its body was unstable and it staggered to the other side. It's over. Wave missile. As Luo Yi's order was issued again, Lucario instantly generated wave power from his body, which quickly condensed into his palms and turned into a ball of extremely destructive impact. Bang! The next moment, the wave missile was launched instantly, hitting the big wolfhound that had not yet stabilized its body. The explosive power contained in the wave missile was directly poured on the big wolfhound, knocking it out like a rag sack. The big wolfhound flew out and rolled on the ground for several rounds, and had lost consciousness. Instant kill? Instant kill. The air seemed to be stagnant at this time, and the outside of the field fell into a dead silence. At the same time, the voice of the system rang in Luo Yi's head. Congratulations to the host for defeating the wolfhound and getting 220 points. There are 1780 points left, which can be exchanged for a devil fruit. Chapter 19. The two skills were completed in a flash, connecting perfectly to instantly kill the giant wolfhound. Humph, a piece of trash like you dare to be the strength judge of my first battle. Luo Yi showed a mocking smile, not hiding his contempt for Xiao Tian. At this time, Luo Yi's small figure, saying such arrogant words, made people feel extremely weird. Luo Yi was very satisfied with the first cooperation with Lucario. This cooperation can even be described as perfect. Lucario's strength did not disappoint Luo Yi. The swift offensive was like a storm that crushed and ravaged the big wolfhound at will. Big wolf dog. Xiao Tian sat on the ground, looking at the unconscious wolfhound not far away in disbelief, as if he didn't want to believe what he saw. What a joke! Defeated by a student who hasn't graduated yet. And it was a one-sided situation, with no ability to fight back at all. He just lost like that? Did he really lose like that? Although he didn't want to believe it, the unconscious wolfhound not far away ruthlessly reminded him that he was not dreaming. This was real. The big wolfhound seems to have lost consciousness. I guess so. I didn't see what happened. Senior Oda, lost? The wolfhound was defeated instantly by Lucario's violent attack. The students outside the field, including teacher Mieko, were all stunned and could not recover for a while. The whole battle lasted only a moment, but it was dazzling and unexpected. Isn't this too fast and too exaggerated? However, the wolfhound lying on the ground with spirals in his eyes and losing consciousness, silently announced the result of this battle. Senior Oda is no match for Luo Yi. The teenagers who realized this dropped their jaws. They were expecting Luo Yi to fail just now, but Lucario's appearance and instant kill of the opponent directly shattered their fantasy. Although Luo Yi seems young, in fact, in terms of the quality and control of the Pokémons, his level is far superior to theirs. Where did this monster come from? He actually defeated Senior Oda. This. How are we supposed to live? This is too scary. There has never been such a shocking thing in Kana's school. Defeating the trialist directly. Is this true? Has the youngest Pokémon trainer in the history of Kana's city been born? After a short silence, it was as if a bomb exploded in the crowd, causing a crazy uproar. At this time, for the first time in the history of Kana's Pokémon school, a student who was a new Pokémon trainer defeated the examiner who judged the student's first battle strength. In particular, this was the youngest Pokémon trainer in the history of the entire Kana's city. This couldn't help but shock people. At this time, in another graduation battle venue, Miyazi, who was ruthlessly slapped by Luo Yi, noticed the noise over there. What's going on over there? It seems to be Oda's class venue. Humph. He must have defeated Luo Yi. It's really infuriating that he actually attacked a girl. Miyazi, who had just finished the test, had a little redness on her face. She was about to return to the class team when she heard the noise and looked over curiously. Miyazi, I know. Someone over there defeated the examiner directly. A boy said to Miyazi in a courteous manner. This class was closest to Luo Yi's battle location, so they got the news the fastest. Except for Miyazi who was in the battle just now, everyone knew this shocking news. To be an examiner, the Pokémons under his command must have good combat power, at least they must be able to defeat the initial Pokémons of a class of 20 people in a row. This data seems incredible, but it is not difficult. Not to mention that the examiner's Pokémons have been tempered and their strength is stable, the initial Pokémons have just been obtained by these students, and some people can't even remember the names of the Pokémon's moves, let alone fight. However, it has only been a short time, and the battle has just begun. That is to say, the examiner's Pokémons were not defeated because of exhaustion after many battles, but it was a real fair battle. What? The examiners were defeated? Who was it? Miyazi was shocked and asked hurriedly. I heard that it was a very young child. He killed the examiner in one move. Too amazing. He is simply a genius, the youngest Pokémon trainer in Kana City. Hearing this, Miyazi was struck by lightning and stood there in shock. She had never thought that Luo Yi would be so powerful. Not only did she fail to take revenge, but she also lost her brother Xiaotian, which made Luo Yi even more famous. However, it was too late at this time. Luo Yi's reputation as a genius had spread throughout the school. Luo Yi won? How will this end? It took Miyako a long time to come back to her senses. Luo Yi's performance was not like that of a rookie trainer at all. They had not been together for a long time, but he seemed to have a tacit understanding with Lucario, causing Oda to lose in the blink of an eye. This was too exciting. Miyako's beautiful eyes trembled slightly, and her mood was agitated. However, seeing Oda's embarrassment, he put away the coyote and ran towards the Pokémon Center in Kana City without saying a word. Miyako didn't know whether to keep him for a moment. He was easily defeated by the junior who was supposed to test his strength. He probably didn't have the face to stay. But think about it, it seems that it is useless for him to stay, his Pokémon is just a big wolfhound. And he was so confused that he couldn't play anymore. But what should he do now? Miyako was at a loss. I can be the tester. Noticing Miyako's sad face, Luo Yi said indifferently. To exchange for a devil fruit, you need 2,000 points. Defeat Oda's coyote dog and get 220. Luo Yi looked at the novice trainers who were about to graduate, and his saliva was about to flow out. It's all about points. Although these people's strength is relatively poor, a little bit adds up to a lot, and it must be enough to exchange for a devil fruit. Teacher Miyako, I will be the examiner. There won't be any questions. Yes, some new trainers, my Lucario is no problem at all. Luo Yi said confidently. At this time, he forgot that he was also a novice trainer. Miyako heard this and thought about the feasibility of Luo Yi's suggestion with a wandering look. Since Luo Yi was able to defeat Oda, he naturally has the ability and qualifications to be a tester, but because this kind of thing has not happened in the school, Miyako seems a little hesitant. Let students act as testers? Is this okay? But it seems that there is no other way. As a teacher, she is not good at fighting, and the school has not prepared other testers. Okay, then Luo Yi, you come. Miyako hesitated for a while, and finally decided to follow Luo Yi's idea. Then you guys take turns. My Lucario is very scary. There is no doubt that Luo Yi, the elementary school student, beat the entire Pokémon school. After the end, Luo Yi's points were off the charts, 3,120. The points for the second Devil Fruit exchange have reached the target. Chapter 20. The Founder's Office of Devon Group. Luo Yi's father, Zifukimujin, the founder of Devon Group, looked at a report in his hand with a gloomy expression on his face. Finally, he took a long breath and put down the report in his hand. The report was about Luo Yi's beating of the entire Pokémon school and a photo of Luo Yi fighting side by side with Lucario. I originally wanted him to go to a civilian school just to keep him away from these Pokémons. The boss has already embarked on the path of a Pokémon trainer, is this kid going to do the same? What will I do with such a big business in the future? All of them are naughty kids. They don't consider the needs of an old man like me at all. If you all leave, who will inherit the group? Zifukimujin's face was a little gloomy. He originally asked Luo Yi to go to a civilian school, firstly to train Luo Yi, and secondly to prevent Luo Yi from being like Daigo. If Luo Yi only interacted with garbage Pokémons and couldn't make a name for himself, he would naturally train Luo Yi to take over the Duan group under his arrangement. But Zifuka was absolutely. Who would have thought that Luo Yi would make such a big splash on his first day at school? Not only did he get the super rare Pokémon Lucario, but he also beat the entire Pokémon school, even though it was just an ordinary civilian school. Now the news hasn't spread, but Zifuka knows that soon, his son will become a genius child known to everyone in the entire city of Kaunas. Thinking about it, the gloom on Kaunas Mujin's face slowly dissipated, and he could no longer hide the pride in his heart. Although the road is a bit remote, he is worthy of being my son, Mujin. With his own strength, he got Lucario to recognize him as his master and beat all the graduates of the Pokémon school. This has never happened in Kaunas city. Haha, you are all garbage in front of my son. Looking at Luoyi's excited expression in the report photo, Zifuki's mood slowly changed. He couldn't help but think of his passion when he was young and the days when he struggled with the original Pokémons. Let's wait and see. This kid may achieve more than his father in the future. Zifuki Mujin shook his head with a smile on his face. He picked up the video phone at hand and dialed the number at home. Luo Yi's mother's face soon appeared on the phone. She was very beautiful. Wife. I tell you, my son is amazing. At this time, Luo Yi, who had defeated the entire Pokémon school, did not know that everything he had done in school had been known by his cheap parents, and he was still thinking about how to explain it. But soon, Luo Yi had no time to think about these things. The battle was over, the Pokémon encyclopedia was in hand, and the points to exchange for devil fruits were enough. He needed to communicate with the system and plan what to do next. Luo Yi's goal was of course to see this magical world, but Luo Yi also guessed a little about the intention of his cheap father to send him to a civilian school, and he was still a minor. If he wanted to leave his family to travel, I am afraid that not every parent would be at ease. After getting the Pokémon encyclopedia, Luo Yi officially graduated from the Pokémon school. At this time, looking at Luo Yi's receding back, both the teacher and the principal were confused. He enrolled in the morning and graduated in the afternoon. This. Mr. Principal, is it okay? Teacher Mieko asked hesitantly. That's the school rules, the principal said, but if you don't let him graduate, you will also be beaten by him. Can your Pokémon beat Lucario? Even if they can now, what about in a month or two? As soon as the principal said this, all the teachers shut up immediately. They should not humiliate themselves. How could these teachers put their faces aside when they were beaten by a child? Let him harm others. Such a young Pokémon trainer can only appear in those super powerful forces. They are all genius trainers. I didn't expect that such a person would appear in our school. Yes, I guess Luo Yi's name will soon spread all over this continent. System, I want to exchange for a devil fruit. After leaving school, Luo Yi couldn't help but start communicating with the system on his way home. Okay, host, the mall is open. Immediately, a shopping interface appeared in Luo Yi's mind, with all kinds of Pokémon-related things on it, professional breeding food, special Pokeballs, and even Pokémon egg incubators. Luo Yi flipped through it and actually found the black technology that restored ancient Pokémon based on ancient Pokémon fossils. This kind of black technology has it. It seems that we need to pay attention to the fossils of the ancient Pokémons. However, the points required to exchange this black technology are an astronomical number for Luo Yi now. Of course, the most conspicuous thing in the entire mall is the devil fruit. The machine for exchanging devil fruits is like a big turntable. Each position corresponds to a dark devil fruit outline, each different. Now Luo Yi's points can be exchanged for a devil fruit. But now that Luo Yi has seen all the good things in the mall, he is no longer satisfied with just exchanging devil fruits. It seems that I still need to defeat some rare Pokémons and more powerful Pokémons. The points are far from enough. Luo Yuxin thought. Okay system, start exchanging devil fruits. As soon as the idea came into Luo Yi's mind, the big devil fruit turntable in the mall started to spin immediately, and at the same time Luo Yi's points were deducted by 2,000 points. What kind of fruit would it be? Looking at the turntable, Luo Yi felt a little nervous. At this time, Luo Yi also figured it out. As long as it is not a pitfall like the Yomiuri fruit, any fruit can play its role in the Pokémon world. Because there are so many Pokémons in the Pokémon world, each has its own strengths, and there will never be a situation where devil fruits are wasted. And Luo Yi believes that no matter what Pokémon gets the devil fruit, it is possible to surpass the constraints of the racial value, and it is not a dream to cross the level to kill the beast. The turntable slowly stopped, and the pointer pointed to a position. The shadow of the devil fruit there suddenly lit up, revealing the true appearance of this devil fruit. Looking at the devil fruit selected by the turntable pointer, Luo Yi stopped, opened his eyes wide, and ecstasy appeared on his face. This is... Chapter 21. Looking at the devil fruit selected by the turntable pointer, Luo Yi stopped, opened his eyes wide, and a look of ecstasy appeared on his face. This is... Operation Fruit. Luo Yi stared at the red heart-shaped devil fruit on the turntable and froze there, but in his heart, he was extremely surprised. It can be said that in this world full of Pokémon, the value of the Operation Fruit is absolutely inestimable. Luo Yi still remembers that in the story of One Piece, the Operation Fruit is called the Ultimate Devil Fruit and belongs to the Superhuman Fruit. As long as the owner of the fruit unfolds the domain, everything in the domain is equivalent to entering the operating area, and the operator can do whatever he wants. Boom! Luo Yi felt his pockets sink. The Operation Fruit had fallen into his pocket. Shit! This devil fruit is pretty cool. Touching the heart-shaped surgery fruit in his pocket, Luo Yi's mood immediately began to soar. With the surgery fruit, Luo Yi can not only become the most versatile doctor, but also the world's unique Pokémon artist. The so-called Pokémon's bloodline, attributes, body structure, there is nothing that Luo Yi cannot deprive, nothing that Luo Yi cannot give. A green caterpillar that can breathe fire? A Pidgeot with the bloodline of the Phoenix King? As long as Luo Yi thinks about it, there is no surgery that he can't do. However, Luo Yi, who calmed down, remembered an important problem. That is, he had just traveled to the world of Pokémon, and the elements of the two worlds in his body had not been completely integrated. If he ate the devil fruit and added the elements of the third world, I am afraid there would be big problems. The system had reminded him of this a long time ago, and Luo Yi also knew that the system was not threatening him for no reason, but that there was a real problem in this regard. System, is there a way to solve the problem that my body is not compatible with the devil fruit? Luo Yi asked. He had made up his mind to eat this devil fruit. In this way, he would not only have a certain degree of self-protection power, but also be able to create the most powerful Pokémon. Immediately, the system replied there is a body recovery option in the mall, which is worth 1000 points. Hearing the words of the system, Luo Yi was delighted. Points can be earned again, but the role of the surgery fruit is irreplaceable. With the surgery fruit, all ancient Pokémons, mythical beasts and quasi-divine beasts will become test subjects on his operating table. By then, how many points will he not have, so why would he be stingy with the current 1000 points? Okay, system, help me solve my physical problems. As soon as the words fell, 1000 points disappeared, and Luo Yi suddenly felt different, becoming more comfortable and natural, and had a kind of intimacy with this world. Without saying anything, Luo Yi took out the surgery fruit and took a bite. It was really disgusting. Just when Luo Yi ate the surgery fruit, a cute girl of 15 or 16 years old came to the other side of Kana's city, and her goal was the White Glass Research Institute. If Luo Yi saw her, he would definitely recognize her. She was Xiao Ao who traveled with Zai Zai in the previous life comics. However, Xiao Ao now looked panicked and in tears, holding a seriously injured hunting swallowtail butterfly. The hunting swallowtail butterfly didn't know what happened, one of its wings fell off, and it was dying, looking very miserable. Hunting swallowtail. Hold on. I'll find Dr. Babo soon, he will definitely find a way to save you. Xiao Ao's tears fell on the hunting swallowtail, but the hunting swallowtail could no longer react and could only let Xiao Ao hold her and look for Dr. Babo who might save her life. Luo Yi, after eating the surgery fruit, waited for 2 minutes, and then he had a kind of enlightenment in his heart, as if he had mastered some mysterious ability. It was extremely mysterious and complex. Luo Yi, who had just eaten the fruit, knew that it was not something that could be mastered overnight. However, Luo Yi immediately thought of the world of One Piece, where the fruit ability users were also of different strengths, and the development of the fruit ability was also slow. With continuous proficiency and growth, the fruit ability truly showed its terrifying power. Room! Luo Yi shouted in a low voice, and suddenly a small white cyclone appeared in the palm of his hand, and then it expanded in an instant, and a hemispherical barrier with a radius of about 3 meters appeared. Luo Yi was at the center of the hemispherical barrier. Chapter 22. Photo by Xiao Ao. Room. The power of the surgery fruit was activated, and a hemispherical barrier suddenly appeared. Looking at this translucent barrier, Luo Yi had a feeling of being omnipotent. He knew that within this barrier was the scope of his ability, which was also equivalent to his own operating room. Within this barrier, he could perform surgery on Pokémon at will. Transplantation or blood separation. When Luo Yi's ability is developed to a certain extent, these are not a problem. At this moment, Luo Yi thought about it, took out a Pokeball and threw it on the ground. Suddenly, a cute Pikachu appeared, still sleeping. Give it a try, it's time for you to wake up. Luo Yi looked at the Pikachu on the ground, eager to try. Isn't this a ready-made surgical target? Under Luo Yi's control, the barrier shrank and turned into a round ball the size of an apple, which emitted a faint blue light under Luo Yi's palm. Hey! Luo Yi squatted down and put his palm on Pikachu's fleshy forehead. The light blue light poured into Pikachu's forehead. Luo Yi felt a chaotic consciousness and violent lightning power. Holy shit, this is a major surgery. A few minutes later, Luo Yi's forehead began to sweat, not only because of the complicated situation inside Pikachu, but also because it was the first time to use the operation fruit, and his underdeveloped body could not bear it. It was like a child swinging a giant sword, which must be very strenuous. Oh my god! System, where did you find Pikachu from? Luo Yi, who was sorting out Pikachu's confused consciousness, suddenly jumped up. Just now, he actually saw an astonishing scene in Pikachu's consciousness. It was a scene from Pikachu's first-person perspective, a battle with the sacred beast Zapdos. Pika! Pika! Just when Luo Yi was looking at Pikachu in shock, Pikachu woke up with an innocent look on his face. It was obvious that the treatment just now had worked. Pikachu looked around blankly after waking up. When he saw Luo Yi, he immediately became alert and climbed up to Luo Yi's shoulder in a few seconds along Luo Yi's legs. He liked this position very much. The memory has not been fully recovered yet, it has only reached the point where it can wake up. Luo Yi turned his head and looked at the innocent Pikachu on his shoulder. He knew that he could not help Pikachu recover all his memories now. Don't be afraid, we will slowly search for the memories from the past. The sacred beast Zapdos is nothing, I will take you to beat them all back. Patting Pikachu's head, Luo Yi said domineeringly. Pikachu! They! Ignorant Pikachu also rubbed Luo Yi's face and was very close to Luo Yi. At this time, Pikachu was like a simple baby, treating Luo Yi as his everything. At this time, Luo Yi obtained the surgery fruit and awakened Pikachu. He couldn't wait to travel, so he changed his route and came to the Pokémon Center in Kana City. Miss Joey, I want to join the Pokémon League. Please help me enter my personal information. Here is my Pokémon illustrated book. Luo Yi handed over the Pokémon illustrated book he got at school. It's Luo Yi, you're going to train at such a young age? A few years earlier than Daigo. As an employee of the Spirit Center, Joey also recognized Luo Yi as the second young master of the Duan group. Yes, Sister Joey, I have my own Pokémon now. Luo Yi responded. He knew that Joey in front of him was also from a big family in Kana City. She had a vision that was not comparable to that of ordinary people. She would not look down on him just because he was young. If everyone was surprised because of his young age, Luo Yi would be annoyed to death. Okay, please wait a moment. Miss Jiao Yi took it with a smile, and after a familiar operation, Luo Yi's head portrait appeared on the big screen. The information has been successfully entered. This is the badge collection box that comes with it. Keep it. I wish you a good ranking. Thank you, Sister Joy. Luo Yi took the Pokémon encyclopedia and badge collection box, put them in his pocket, and was about to leave when he heard Joy say. By the way, Luo Yi, you can go to Dr. Baibo to get a simple Pokémon transporter, so you don't have to worry about exceeding the number of Pokémons you can carry during your trip. I know, Sister Joey. Luo Yi smiled and waved his hand, and went straight to the Baibo Research Laboratory. Not far from the Baibo Research Institute, Luo Yi saw a small, thin girl squatting on the ground crying. This is Xiaoao. After taking 2 steps closer, Luo Yi immediately recognized the crying girl. It was Xiaoao from the Pokémon animation in his previous life. Xiaoao in front of him was 15 or 16 years old, in the prime of youth and well developed. Oh, my hunting swallowtail butterfly, I don't want you to die, you are my only companion. Luo Yi approached and heard Xiaoao crying. After a little thought, he understood what happened. With a thought in his mind, Luo Yi looked at Xiaoao in front of him and immediately had an idea. Luo Yi was confident that with the ability of the surgery fruit, he could perform a rescue as long as she was not dead. Hunting butterflies? I can help you cure it. Luo Yi walked in front of Xiao Ao and said confidently. Hearing Luo Yi's voice, Xiao Ao was stunned and looked at Luo Yi with tears in her eyes. Her eyes were almost swollen from crying. Really? Even Dr. Bai Bo is powerless, can you really save my hunting butterfly? Xiao Yao seemed to see hope, grabbed Luo Yi's hand, his eyes full of tension. Yes, I can save it. Luo Yi said confidently. Chapter 23. As soon as Luo finished speaking, Xiao Ao jumped up immediately. Can you save my hunting swallowtail butterfly? Great! Great! My hunting butterfly is saved. As he said that, he grabbed Luo Yi's hand and pulled him into the white glass laboratory. Luo Yi, who was being pulled by Xiao Ao, had a calm expression, but there was a kind of confidence in his eyes. He knew that with Xiao Ao's personality, after he saved the hunting butterfly, she would agree to travel with him. It would be nice to find a cute girl to travel with. Luo Yi whispered. Pikachu, who looked innocent on his shoulder, echoed. Although he didn't know what happened, he felt that his master was in a good mood. Luo Yi rubbed Pikachu's head and walked into the Beibo Research Institute. In the operating room of the Beibo Research Institute, Dr. Beibo and a group of assistants were surrounding the dying hunting swallowtail butterfly, all of them helpless. On the experimental table, the half-human high-hunting swallowtail butterfly had 7 or 8 tubes inserted into its body. The fallen wing was barely spliced on, but the color became extremely wrong, like a withered leaf, no longer shiny. Moreover, there were 7 or 8 wounds on the entire hunting swallowtail butterfly. Although it had been treated with all its strength, its eyes had become scattered. Everyone could see that the operation had failed and the hunting swallowtail butterfly didn't have much time to live. Just when everyone felt regretful, Xiao Ao, with tears on her face, rushed in. Behind Xiao Ao were Luo Yi and Pikachu strolling leisurely. Great, my hunting swallowtail butterfly is saved. Xiao Ao said loudly, with endless joy in her voice. Hearing Xiao Ao's cry, several researchers showed guilt on their faces, and one of them whispered, I'm sorry, Xiao Ao, we can't save your hunting swallowtail butterfly. It doesn't matter, I found someone who can save it. Come here quickly. Xiao Ao seemed not to have heard the death notice given to the hunting swallowtail butterfly by the researchers, but called Luo Yi happily. What? Who can save the hunting swallowtail butterfly? It's already like this, it's dead. Drive. Bai Bo and several researchers looked at each other, not knowing what happened. But immediately, Dr. Bai Bo noticed Luo Yi walking over. Young master. Student Luo Yi, why are you back again? Is there something wrong with that Lucario? Drive. Bai Bo almost called him young master, but when he thought of the many researchers around him, he quickly changed his words. I'm here to save this swallowtail butterfly, all of you please get out of the way. Luo was not very tall, but his voice was full of confidence. However, this confidence became arrogance and conceit in the ears of several researchers. Are you kidding? Don't mess around like a kid. This hunting butterfly is already dead, said a researcher. That's right, we have tried all our methods, but nothing works. Do you think you are better than us? Said a researcher, with a hint of sarcasm in his voice. Get out quickly, can you just come into the Beibo Research Institute casually? The researcher who spoke before spoke again, not polite at all. The others nodded as a matter of course. Luo Yi was just a child. It was impossible to save the hunting swallowtail butterfly. Luo Yi's face suddenly became bad. Seeing the change in Luo Yi's face, Dr. Beibo's eyelids jumped, the muscles on his face twitched obviously, and his scalp was about to explode. Who is this little guy in front of him? The young master of the Devon Group. What is the Devon Group? The giant in Kana's city, the investor of the Beibo Research Institute. In other words, Luo Yi's father, Zifukimujin, is his boss. Moreover, Daigo, the eldest son of Zifukimujin, has become the league champion and it is impossible for him to take over the Devon Group. Luo Yi in front of him, although he is still young, will sooner or later become the real head of the Devon Group. If you offend Luo Yi, don't even think about working for the Devon Group for the rest of your life. But Dr. Beibo is worthy of being a person who started from scratch and has his own research institute. He reacted quickly. You two losers, get out of here. Is this how you treat a kid? This is my research institute, Baibo. When did you two have the final say? Dr. Baibo said nothing and slapped the two people who had just ridiculed Luo Yi in the face. The sound of the slaps resounded throughout the room. It was obvious that he did not hold back. Several researchers were stunned on the spot. PhD, the researcher who was slapped was full of disbelief and wanted to say something else. Snap! Dr. Baibo slapped him again, shutting him up completely. Chapter 24. After 3 slaps, the 2 researchers were completely stunned. Usually, Dr. Baibo hated children the most, so why was he acting out of character today? The other researchers were also stunned. Dr. Baibo was so abnormal today. Was it because he couldn't save the hunting swallowtail butterfly? How could they know that the kid they had just ridiculed was Dr. Baibo's future boss? At this time, Xiao Yao was also frightened by the 2 slaps. She didn't expect that the usually kind Dr. Baibo would have such a side. However, Luo Yi knew clearly in his heart why Dr. Baibo did this, and he was amazed in his heart. Soon, Dr. Baibo stopped talking about what happened just now and changed the subject without knowing how to express his feelings. Since Luo Yi wants to try it, let him try it. Pokémon are our good friends. It is our common business to help them recover their health. Don't be so selfish. Dr. Baibo did not say anything. He reprimanded his researchers righteously. At the same time, he observed Luo Yi's expression calmly and gave up the operating table. Seeing that Dr. Baibo had disciplined his researchers, Luo Yi was too lazy to talk nonsense with them. He walked directly to the operating table and prepared to use the power of the surgery fruit. However, seeing the appearance of this hunting swallowtail butterfly, Luo Yi was also stunned. This was too miserable. One of its wings was broken and its body was covered with wounds. Moreover, this hunting swallowtail butterfly was dying, and even its body was almost cold. Although the life nutrient solution needed by Pokémon has been delivered, anyone who sees this hunting swallowtail butterfly knows that it will not live long. At this time, the 2 researchers who had just been taught a lesson did not dare to show anything on their faces, but their eyes still revealed their disdain for Luo Yi. There should be a limit to bragging, let's see how you end it. They thought to themselves. At this time, even Dr. Baibo had no hope at all. Although he asked Luo Yi to try, it was only because Luo Yi was the young master of Duan Group and his future boss. He did not believe that Luo Yi could really cure the hunting swallowtail butterfly. He has only seen a few Pokémons, and he is so arrogant just because he has Lucario. That is ridiculous. Forget it, he's going to die anyway, so let him do whatever he wants. At this time, Xiao Ao also came over and immediately shed tears when she saw the hunting swallowtail butterfly. Luo Yi, can you really save my hunting swallowtail butterfly? As long as you save it, I will agree to anything you ask. Xiao Yao said, trying to hold back the urge to cry. I can save it, remember what you said. Luo Yi said affirmatively. However, as soon as he said this, the researchers around him rolled their eyes again. At this time, in the entire operating room, except Xiao Ao who had hope in Luo Yi, everyone else looked at Luo Yi with squinted eyes, waiting to see Luo Yi's joke. Luo Yi didn't care about anything else. This was the first time he officially used the power of the surgery fruit to perform such an operation. All his energy was focused on the dying hunting swallowtail butterfly on the operating table. Room! Luo Yi shouted softly, and a white cyclone appeared in his palm, and then expanded into a hemispherical light blue barrier in an instant, covering Luo Yi and the operating table. However, it seemed that only Luo Yi could see this light blue barrier, and no one else noticed it. Then, Luo Yi placed his palm flat on the hunting swallowtail butterfly, and a faint blue light appeared, and he immediately understood the poor physical condition of the hunting swallowtail butterfly. There were various life factors scattered in the body of the hunting swallowtail butterfly, but they were difficult to function. Without mobilization, the self-repair ability was almost completely lost. It's really bad. Activate. Luo Yi exerted force, and the blue light emanating from his palm became stronger. In Luo Yi's perception, the remaining vitality scattered in the body of the hunting swallowtail butterfly began to slowly gather and repair its severely injured body. This bag of water, hang another bag. Luo Yi raised his head and pointed at a bag of nutrient solution and drank it. At this time, Luo Yi's head was slightly sweating. He was concentrating, but he didn't realize that the hemispherical barrier created by the ability of the surgery fruit was slowly expanding. Quick, Pokémon Life Nutrient Solution, do as Luo Yi said. Dr. Baibo immediately ordered his researchers to act. Wait, what is this? Just as the situation in the hunting swallowtail butterfly continued to improve, Luo Yi's room field also expanded further, directly penetrating the wall, and included part of a room next door into the room space. In Luo Yi's perception, a group of vigorous vitality appeared instantly, neatly stacked together. Pokeball Storage Room. Next to the operating room, it turned out to be the Pokeball Storage Room of Baibo Research Institute. Among the groups of vigorous vitality, Luo Yi clearly felt that one of them was very similar to the hunting swallowtail butterfly in front of him. Colorful powder butterfly. Luo Yi immediately recognized this Pokémon. It was a colorful powder butterfly that did not belong to the Fengyuan area. Pokémons like this belonging to other regions can only be seen in the Pokémon Research Institute. Feeling the difference between this colorful powder butterfly and the hunting swallowtail butterfly, Luo Yi suddenly had a sexy idea. Haha, let me show you the wonders of the surgery fruit. Protect your eyes and don't be blinded by the light. Chapter 25. Outside the White Glass Research Institute, 3 people were hiding in the bushes. One of them was a cat-shaped Pokémon holding a telescope to observe the situation inside the White Glass Research Institute. They were the 3 members of Team Rocket, Musashi, Kojiro, and Meowth. Meow, I found the Pokeball storage room of the Baibo Research Institute. Meow handed the telescope to Musashi and said excitedly. Great! Everyone at the White Glass Research Institute is gathered in a room and they don't know what to do. This is a good opportunity for us to take action. Kojiro was excited and had already begun to fantasize about getting a promotion and a raise. Meow meow. Let's take action. Back to the topic, in the operating room of researcher Baibo, both Dr. Baibo and the researchers stared at the hunting butterfly floating in the air on the operating table. An hour ago, the hunting butterfly was lying half dead on the operating table. Everyone thought it would die and would not survive the night. But now, it has already flown up with full energy. This is simply a miracle. Drive. Baibo muttered, rubbing his eyes several times, and finally confirmed that what he saw was a real scene. And those researchers who originally wanted to see Luo Yi make a fool of himself, all seemed to have their throats pinched, and they couldn't say a word. Alive, alive? Everyone felt that all the knowledge they knew was overturned at this moment, and the way they looked at Luo Yi was like looking at a monster. My hunting butterfly has recovered. The happiest person in the room was Xiao Ao. Seeing the intact hunting butterfly, he was so excited that he didn't know what to do. Thank you for saving my best friend. In front of everyone, Xiao Ao gently touched Luo Yi's face, leaving him with a wonderful touch, then picked up the hunting butterfly and spun around happily. It's not over yet, Luo Yi touched his face, looked at the shocked Dr. Baibo and others, smiled triumphantly, and snapped his fingers at the hunting butterfly. Immediately, the hunting butterfly broke free from Xiao Yao's arms, emitting a dazzling white light. Everyone was dazzled by the white light and closed their eyes. After the white light, an Pokémon similar to a colorful powder disc appeared in the air, flying up and down in the operating room, so happy. Colorful butterfly. Dr. Baibo and a group of researchers' eyes popped out, and their jaws fell to the ground. Looking at the colorful butterfly in front of them, their 3 views were strongly shocked. Where is the hunting wind butterfly? What the hell is this colorful butterfly? No. This is not a powder butterfly, but a swallowtail butterfly, but the color and pattern of its wings have become the same as those of a powder butterfly. Drive. Baibo was the first to notice the change in the Pokémons. Although the powder butterfly and the swallowtail butterfly are both butterfly-shaped Pokémons, their bodies are very different. The Pokémon in front of him, which is suspected to be a powder butterfly, is still a swallowtail butterfly in terms of appearance, but the color and pattern of its wings are exactly the same as those of a powder butterfly. After hearing what Drive Baibo said, all the researchers realized that this is not a powder butterfly, but the swallowtail butterfly from before. However, the color of the wings of the swallowtail butterfly can switch back and forth between the 2 Pokémons. It is simply unheard of. You know, whether it is the swallowtail butterfly or the powder butterfly, also called the green powder butterfly, they are both considered to be relatively beautiful butterfly-shaped Pokémons, and now there is actually a Pokémon that can switch the color and pattern of its wings between 2 types of Pokémon has been found. If this Pokémon participates in the Pokémon contest, won't it be easy to win the championship? At this moment, all the researchers' eyes were red. They no longer cared about the fact that Luo Yi could magically rescue this hunting swallowtail butterfly, but stared at the hunting swallowtail butterfly in the sky that kept changing the color of its wings, drooling. If they could figure out the secret, these researchers would also be qualified to establish their own research institutes, soaring to the sky, and winning the heart of a rich and beautiful woman would not be a dream. However, only Dr. Bai Bo looked at Luo Yi with a hint of doubt and shock in his eyes. Feeling Dr. Bai Bo's gaze, Luo Yi shrugged, as if it had nothing to do with him. Don't look at me, I don't have such ability. It must be that this hunting swallowtail butterfly mutated itself. Luo Yi said. However, Dr. Bai Bo obviously did not believe Luo Yi's words. With such a magical method that could save the hunting swallowtail butterfly, Luo Yi was the most suspicious. As for the Pokémons mutating themselves, Dr. Bai Bo did not believe a word. After all, he had studied Pokémon for many years. It was almost impossible for the hunting swallowtail butterfly to mutate so accurately into the pattern of the colorful powder butterfly. Could it be the latest scientific research result of Devon Group? It must be so. With this alone, Devon Group can steadily lead the world science for 100 or 200 years. Just when people had not recovered from the hunting swallowtail butterfly, a loud noise came from next door, scaring everyone. Then, the wall of the operating room broke, and a large mechanical claw grabbed the mutant hunting swallowtail butterfly flying in the air and took it away. Who are they? Dr. Bai Bo was almost scared to death. The next door was the Pokeball storage room. If something went wrong, the loss would be huge. Xiao Ao was also very angry when she saw the hunting swallowtail butterfly being caught. She had just lost it and now it was caught again. Her mood was full of twists and turns. Only Luo Yi had a strange feeling in his heart. Could it be those three guys? Sure enough, the next second, Luo Yi heard the familiar lines. Since you asked sincerely. Musashi, Kojiro, and the other two were posing freely, with bags of Pokeballs under their feet, all of which were taken from the Beibo Research Institute. However, Luo Yi's attention was not on the three people, but on the back of Meow Meow. There were 2 round stones there, but the system's prompt indicated that these 2 stones were not that simple. Congratulations to the host for discovering 2 ancient Pokémon eggs with petrified eggshells. If you can find a way to hatch the ancient Pokémons, you can get 2,000 points. The system's voice sounded, and Luo was stunned for a moment. An ancient Pokémon egg with a petrified eggshell. This can only be smashed open.